Welcome to Midwest Paranormal Presents Paranormal Soup. I'm your host, Jason Bland, and tonight we have guests, kind of returning, Pat Spain. If you remember, about a month ago, we were going to have him on, and we had horrible internet issues and could not even start the interview. Well, hopefully nothing goes wrong tonight, because I've been dying to have this guest on since I read his book, on the A Little Bigfoot on the Hunt in Sumatra, or How I Learned There Are Some Things That Really Do Not Taste Like Chicken. That's the title, seriously. No, this guy's writing style is awesome. But he's an actual true adventurer. He is a biotech expert. He's a cryptozoologist, wildlife biologist. This guy's traveled a lot over the world and seen a lot of strange creatures and been on the search for the strangest. That's what's fascinated him, especially why he's in cryptozoology. So I'm honored to have him on tonight. Pat Spain. He's the author of a lot of books that are a part of his On the Hunt book series. You're definitely going to want to check out after hearing him tonight on the show. Of course, a lot of weird to get to in the World Wide Web, but weird as always. And I apologize for last Sunday, especially we had such a great guest, Tiffany Warren. For my back issues, we only did a 2-hour show. Tonight, I am feeling better. I got a chiropractor appointment tomorrow morning, or no, afternoon, not too early, but you don't care. But I'm getting better. We're gonna do a whole show tonight. Hopefully, nothing, as long as my back does fine, it feels better, and we'll open up the phone lines later in the show for you guys to join the conversation. Have you seen something cryptozoological, something weird creature? Call in tonight, talk to an actual wildlife biologist about it, tell them what you saw. Anything you want to call into later. I don't know if we're going to have Pat for the whole show or not tonight. It depends on him. But either way, we'll have open lines if he's not on. But we got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get rolling on into it. Welcome to another night of Paranormal Soup. As I said before, I'm your host, Jason Bland. Tonight's guest, Pat Spain, will be on after the World Wide Web of Weird, after our first commercial break. Joining me, as always, is my beautiful co-host, Jamie D. How you doing tonight, Jamie?
Doing good, thank you.
Glad to be here. Hopefully my back holds out. No Rob. He's still got a gig for a couple more weeks, so maybe he might join us later. I don't know. So I got to run the World Wide Web of Weird, which is always a pain in the butt. But yes, my back is doing better. Just a word of advice to people who have back problems and you go into your local store or a store that sells like those CBD Delta 8 things, don't take the whole thing. I did that with my back being so bad. Ruined my whole day. That's all I'll say. I'm lightweight, yes, but it's legal to take in Indiana, I guess, and I decided to try it for my pain, and woo, don't do that at home, kids or adults. I know, my wife's like, you're such a lightweight. Oh. But you know what? My back's getting better. No Delta 8 needed. I will never do that again. No, thank you. But I have a chiropractor appointment tomorrow. Hopefully we can make it through the show tonight. Last week was impossible. I barely made it to 2 hours. But tonight I'm feeling better. We got a lot of weird to get to, so let's go ahead and roll into the World Wide Web of Weird. Tonight on the World Wide Web of Weird, I thought we'd return to this story we've talked about a couple times, and I always butcher the name of whatever you call this thing. Amuma? Amuma? It's a Hawaiian thing. It's an asteroid they've been tracking for, well, at least a couple years now. Has it been that long? That they believe could be an extraterrestrial spaceship, maybe. But some people claim, the scientists, top men, well, some other top men disagree. They believe there's an explanation for it, a little bit of an argument. Mystery of Amuma has finally been solved, or has it? Question mark. I call it, let's just call it giant space turd, because every picture I see of this thing, it looks like a big giant turd in space. For those listening on the Paranormal Soup radio channel on the Talkstream Paranormal Radio app, we are a live webcast. We do show videos, pictures, play, you can watch. Yeah, that's basically it. I try to present with my horrible narration. Like I'm telling you, I can't pronounce the name of this thing, and I call it giant space turd. I'll show you here in a second as soon as I get my share screen up.
I think it's
why call it
something.
That sounds like a song. Let's see. Okay, share. Okay, then I gotta not share that. Okay, but I call it giant space turd in my mind. And out loud. Like it's giant turd. The 400-meter long object, turd, which flew past our planet back in October 2017, became the focus of much debate and intrigue after it was found to have come from a distant solar system. Even today, the exact nature and origins of the Oumuamua, something from Hawaiian word of scout, continue to remain a major point of study, with scientists attempting to determine exactly what the object is made of, where it came from, and how long it has been traveling through space. There have been some suggestions that the object could be some sort of alien spacecraft. Now, though, two scientists have put forward a new explanation for the enigmatic space rock that would seem to put it all to bed, once for all. Any notion that it is an artificial structure. In particular, the pair explain Oumuamua, or space turd, peculiarly burst of speed as it moved through our solar system by way of the presence of molecular hydrogen, which turned it into gas when it neared the sun. Given the information that we have, I think that is our best hope of explaining space turd without having to resort to more sensational ideas, as we might say in the science community, fine-tuned ideas, said study leader Jennifer Berger of the University of Berkeley. We're excited about this idea because it seems to be very generic and a natural explanation for the process that should be happening anyways. But not everyone, however, is convinced, especially A.V. Loeb, a Harvard astronomer who has long argued that Oumuamua, or space turd, could be an extraterrestrial spacecraft. This is unreasonable because it is impossible for all the hydrogen trapped deep in the object's interior to leave to the surface without releasing the oxygen atoms with them along the way, he told Motherboard. Keep in mind that Oumuamua, or space turd, is the size of a football field. How can all that hydrogen from a depth of 10 meters reach the surface while leaving an object of pure oxygen behind? That's implausible. I don't know. There's science. They argue. Like, I thought science is settled, right? No? Not when the science argues. Who knows what this thing is? It's a giant space turd. That's all we know right now. That's all we know. 2 years later. Well, no, way more than 2 years later. It was 2017. We're still arguing about it. Okay, let's move on. If you want to email me and be angry about me saying it's a giant space turd, email me at paranormalsoupjbland@gmail.com. You can just tell me how you feel. All right, next up, let's see here. Yes, okay, all right. So this isn't turd-shaped. This is cube-shaped. I don't know what it is with the cube UFOs. There's this in Texas, too. This is like another one from Texas. Odd piece of footage from Texas, and this is from UFO Sightings Daily, has it on their YouTube. You can get better analysis from them. Odd piece of footage from Texas shows a strange cube-shaped UFO hovering in the sky shortly after a military jet flew the area. The puzzling sight reportedly occurred on Tuesday at an unspecified location in the state. According to an unnamed witness, he and his wife were first drawn to the, looking overhead when a F-1 fighter jet flew west to east over the house. While thinking that this was an unusual because Sorry, I lost my spot. Unusual because such aircraft rarely appear in this area. The pair were doubly bewildered when seconds later they saw a dark orb-like object appear in the sky, which the man then filmed, urging of his astonished wife. In the video, the witness can be heard marveling, "That's weird, a military jet that flies by, and there's that, whatever that is." I don't have the audio on this one with them, but you can see it at UFO Daily Sightings. You can hear the audio. You see it, Jamie? Now it went away. Of course, as I said, there it is.
My screen started wigging out.
Okay. I mean, it looks like a black cube up there, but it's, distorted. It could be a balloon. But you can hear them talking in the video, and the guy says, "Oh, no, it's just stopped now. It's just hovering there." Like they were watching it move, and then it just stops and hovers for a minute.
And it looks like it's during the day.
Oh yeah, it's during the day.
It might have a little shape to it.
Does look cube-like, but it's so distorted it's really hard to tell. But he says this thing stops and hovers.
Oh, but
UFO
look,
Sightings Daily is where you can see it. UFO Sightings Daily, check it out. You can hear the audio for it there. You hear them describing it, but like he says, it stops and it hovers. He says in the video, and that's interesting. I have a balloon one to do that.
The way it just sailed down kind of looked balloonish, though, and it could, if the air stops just right. A balloon
maybe it's not like it suddenly stopped. So I don't know. And all this alien stuff going on makes you wonder. I've always said this about UFOs. Most of them are described. I mean, there's definitely big. Well, the UFO I saw was a Mothership UFO. It was a big one. But most of them are small craft. The Roswell craft, those seem small. But if there's all these small craft, they have to have a bigger craft they're going to. They're not traveling interstellar space in a small craft. I doubt it. There's got to be a mothership. So this is interesting. Alien Mothership could be watching us with probes. Research suggests Avery Loeb, who we just talked about Mama or Space Turd, and Sean M. Kirkpatrick discussed the possibility of such a scenario in a recent paper on the subject of UFOs, entitled "Physical Constraints of Unidentified Aerial Phenomenon." The paper, which is still undergoing peer review, examines the alleged movements and capabilities of unexplained objects sighted by the U.S. Navy pilots off the coast of the United States. The authors are currently no strangers to UFOs. Loeb is an astrophysicist who has been heavily involved in the search for signs of extraterrestrial intelligence, while Dr. Kirkpatrick is director of the Pentagon's All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, or AARO. In a previous story about their paper, we reported that they had concluded that the alleged capabilities of high maneuverable objects by the U.S. Navy pilots are so extreme that the sheer friction involved should have produced a visible fireball as well as a corresponding radio signature. Now it seems as though the pair have also been looking at the idea that an extraterrestrial mothership passing through our solar system could have released a number of smaller probes designed to enter Earth's atmosphere and study us without our knowledge. Interstellar meteorite impacts inspired me to consider the possibility that an artificial interstellar object could potentially be a parent craft that releases many small probes during its close passage to Earth, an operational construct not too dissimilar from NASA's mission, Loeb told Live Science. You can read the rest of this Unexplained Mysteries. The original article is from Live Science. Even the Unexplained Mystery article is a bit long.
I think this is a hoax put out either by the Pentagon or Cabal, because...
Oh, you're going Project Bluebeam on me, aren't you?
No, not even Project Bluebeam. There's stuff out there that they've already said they're going to be doing this to where it's not even going to look like projected things in the air, which they've already done. These holograms. It's going to actually look like things getting shot down that we are going to see with our eyes and actually believe it. This is a complete hoax. Why would the Pentagon be lying about aliens all these years covering? Now they're like, oh, there's a mothership that can send these probes, and now there's aliens. There's another article. There's aliens.
Thing is, I don't think they're lying.
On us?
I don't think they're lying on this. I honestly don't. I think these are scientists speculating about the obvious.
Look at the obvious video I sent you earlier.
Yeah, but the obvious thing is that I've always said is that there's all these small craft that have been documented through history.
I believe
these aren't going to be just them in a small craft traveling across the universe. There's got to be a
believe
bigger
it,
mothership. I mean, Terry,
Pentagon.
the big triangle UFO that took Terry, he saw a hangar with smaller UFOs in it.
I'm not saying that doesn't exist. I said the
Yeah.
Pentagon you cannot trust, and this is
Oh, wow,
all
yeah.
a hoax. Wait.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know if we're gonna. What you're talking is Project Bluebeam, Gene.
No, this is different than Project Bluebeam. They compare it to that. It's not. This is
Yeah.
completely different. This is
Well, it's Project
completely
Bluebeam 3.0 probably, because I mean, this is where it stems from. It's the same idea of faking an alien invasion.
But they've been setting this up for a very long time.
Right. Well, I know. I don't know if I've ever believed it. I don't know if I believe that narrative yet.
But do you believe the Pentagon and why they would all of a sudden be telling us this?
Yeah, they want funding.
No.
Yes. Scary UFOs, aliens, people, give us money. We need better weapons. Really,
Yeah.
it's China. I honestly, I think this is a snowball effect. I think people talking about it, I think disclosure is happening because some things got out they didn't want to, and it's a snowball effect. People are gonna keep asking questions. They're just trying to slow it down.
Watch the video I sent you earlier.
Yeah. All right, we gotta move on though. What were we at? This one here. I saw Josh Turner said he was related to one of the guys in this group, but I thought this was really interesting. Hold on, let me see. This one here. I got two photos. Trail cam photographs ghostly figure following pair of hunters in New York. Eerie photographs from a trail cam in New York State shows what appear to be a ghostly figure following a pair of hunters. Shared with Coast to Coast AM by Jesse Grandal, the chilling image was captured in December of 2021 as her husband Bob and their daughter were out hunting on their property in that community of Savona, as they say it. The unsettling photo went unnoticed until last week, and when he was going through their trail cam pictures from the past few years, I noticed this spooky, translucent figure enlarged on. You'll see, I'll have an enlargement of it. He made a look at it. He made me look at it, and I asked him who it was with them because I don't ever remember them taking anyone hunting with them. Jesse recalls, and he said no one. They were both a bit freaked out by it. Intriguingly, Jesse tells us that her husband subsequently shared the photo on social media, and friends and father seemingly recognized the individual as a man named Paul, who used to live in our house, and he hunted those same woods. He moved out of our place in either late 2003 or 2004. He died a couple years later. We never met the man, so we didn't know what he looked like. While skeptics will no doubt contend that the spirit is merely a trick of light and shadow or the product of digital editing, Jesse insists that the photo has not been doctored in any way, that it was simply one of hundreds of otherwise normal pictures captured by the real trail cam. All right, there, I got another one. Hold on. That zooms in on it, on the guy. Here it is. And it's crazy that the other people that they didn't know him, recognize this guy. He's out there still hunting. Just shows that, these spirits probably do follow the family members that do the things that they love to do. Probably why I don't have any spirits from my family follow me, because I'm a nerd and geek and they were all hunters. If I went hunting, I'd probably have them all out there with me. All right, let's move on.
It doesn't make you a nerd because you don't like to kill stuff.
Yeah, I tried it, when I was a kid, and I just didn't care for it. All right, but this story, I swear. So, a video, I don't have the video, I just have the picture of this thing. Viewers unnerved, I wonder why, by haunted doll featured on British antique show. Purportedly haunted doll, wonder why they think it's haunted. Featured on a British antique show, left many viewers feeling unnerved by the figure's nightmarish appearance. Oh, it's so cute. No. The strange segment reportedly occurred on the BBC's program Bargain Hunt, with the host Charlie Ross interviewed the Nottingham Haunted Museum's Mary Wesson, who showcased several spooky pieces from the collection. One particular object captured the home's audience attention and caused something of a stir online. An eerie-looking doll dubbed George was sent to the museum by a family in Texas. According to Wesson, the piece was created in tribute to a man who had passed away, and chillingly, the doll now has his glass eye and hair. This proved to be problematic for the family, as they reported experiencing a lot of paranormal things with him. Specifically, they claimed that the piece caused them to have headaches along with inexplicable pains in their eye, so they took him to a few mediums, Wesson said, and apparently George wants his eyes and hair back. He can't rest without them. Rather than reunite George with his missing hair and eyes, which may have been impossible, the family instead opted to send him across the pond where he now resides in the Nottingham Haunted Museum. As one might imagine, the piece's unsettling appearance and the tale attached to it had many viewers reaching for the proverbial dial to turn off the program, with one individual remarking in social media that I can't look at that TV. I hate dolls. I mean, why would you make a doll of a person and make him look so... Was this person like a couch potato and looked like this and like sorry recreate him?
That's what I
Like
was just wondering. Does it have a
this is the
mustache?
this is the most unhappiest doll I've ever seen. You
It
know,
looks like it's going to kill you in your sleep. It's got that off-center, serial killer, sociopathic eye.
it's like if Chucky didn't go out and murder people and decided to eat Cheetos instead, and
Or if
play
Chucky
video
was a
games
human.
and play video games. He was just too lazy to be a sociopathic psycho killer. But don't take his Cheetos.
If Chucky was a person, this is what he would look like.
It looks like he's got Cheeto stains on his face, or is that blood? I don't know. But why so dirty and nasty and like that? Why would you do that? And then put the guy's real glass eye in there too. Like, and why is it haunted? Why are we having piercing pains in our eyes? Wonder why. Yeah, you went a little too far. I don't know. Maybe you got too really realistic with how the doll looked. Maybe his wish was to be a doll, and they said okay. And like, but dude, you look gross. Okay, we'll make it as realistic as possible. Get your glass eye and hair in there. And he's like, no, it's awful. Get rid of it. I don't know.
I missed the part where you said that about the eye.
Oh yeah, it's his hair and eye in the doll. They took one of it. He had a glass eye, so they took the glass eye out, obviously, and put it in there. Yeah, it's messed up. It's just messed up. All right, so Rocky Mountain Sasquatch been having a lot of good stuff. They got this one in New Hampshire submitted to him. A new video has emerged that has some Bigfoot enthusiasts believe shows the elusive North American primate known for its large size and hair and body. Now, we're going to be talking to a cryptozoologist tonight, and he's looking for little Bigfoot in Sumatra. But it's hard to say anymore of these videos of Bigfoot. Why they always? I mean, come on, we got good iPhones now. Does it have to be like so blurry and so quick? This is like 10 seconds long. I mean, it could be what it is. It's an elusive animal, so it's got to be hard to videotape. A new video has emerged that some Bigfoot enthusiasts believe shows the elusive North American primate known for its large size, hair-covered body, and bipedal gait. The footage, which is less than 10 seconds long, was sent anonymously to Rocky Mountain Sasquatch Organization. You can find them on YouTube, guys. They got a lot of good stuff on there. A group dedicated to collecting evidence of Bigfoot existence and posted it on its YouTube channel. The video shows a dark figure moving behind the trees in a wooded area, apparently unaware of being filmed. The footage was taken by a woman who was walking her dog in the Bartlett area on unincorporated community in Carroll County, New Hampshire, when she noticed something strange and started recording. According to the email that accompanied the video, the woman's friend, who remains unidentified, said that she smelled a foul odor that reminded her of a dead body and that her dog acted strangely before she saw the creature. The email also mentions that there might be another video of the encounter, but the owner of the footage has not yet come forward. All right, let's go ahead and play it. My question is, there's a dog there. I don't have the audio on this, but you can go watch the review of this. I don't know if there was audio on this. I think there at one point you do hear audio, and I don't have it on here. Rocky Mountain Sasquatch does, but I don't hear a dog bark. I don't think. You think you'd have a dog would be going nuts if this was in the woods right now. It would make it probably hard to. What was that?
Was he skipping?
No, just walking. It's going to slow it down. This is half speed.
Oh, I see.
I mean, I get the hiding part. I get why, she's like hiding behind a bush. That seems like a real reaction. Nobody's going to want to like, yo, Bigfoot, be paparazzi on him and get smashed,
He kind of walks like a person, though.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, it could be a guy in a hunter suit. It doesn't even seem like he's that tall. It's hard to, of course, judge size. It just doesn't seem...
Could it be
It seems like a guy in his... Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Except we don't see him holding a rifle.
The reason it doesn't seem big to me, I know I can't totally judge size, but I'm guessing she's either crouching or standing. Either way, it doesn't make it seem like he's that tall.
Yeah, it looks
seems like she crouched down. She just crouched down, so she was standing with that. Does it not seem like he doesn't seem that tall? I mean, I don't know the distance from her, so that could be, I don't know. Doesn't seem extraordinary to me, but Rocky Mountain Sasquatch has a good breakdown of this. This is all his slow down speeds, you can see. Let's move on to the next one, though. The last one. All right, this is another subject we've covered heavily on this show. My warnings. I'm not the only one. One of my favorite directors, James Cameron, has a bit to say. Now, this is the original Unlaid article. I got the shorter Unexplained Mysteries article. Few people are as tuned into what could happen if a rogue AI happened to declare the whole of humanity its enemies as James Cameron, the celebrated director of the first 2 Terminator movies. But what we have yet to see is a real-life version of Skynet. Well, China's trying. Recent advances in artificial intelligence technology have been bringing us ever closer to such a scenario. This is James Cameron. I'm not afraid, but I'm pretty concerned about the potential of misuse of AI, Cameron told a host of Smartlist podcasts recently. I think AI can be pretty great. I think it could also literally be the end of the world. You talk to all the AI scientists, and every time I put my hand out at one of these seminars, they start laughing. The point is that no technology has ever not been weaponized. And do we really want to be fighting something smarter than us that isn't us? Our own world? On our own world, sorry. I don't think so. AI could have taken over the world and already and be manipulating it, but we just don't know it because it would have total control over all media and everything. What better explanation is there for how absurd everything is right now? This is his comments. James Cameron's got a point. Things are really absurd. There's a movie that beat you to the punch on that when it comes to AI, James Cameron. It was Eagle Eye. And it's an AI that, God, I don't want to give it away too much of the movie. I mean, it's a long time ago. Shia LaBeouf's in it, so I guess I'm not ruining anything. It's not a great movie because he's in it, but it's a great concept that AI is already controlling everything. You just don't know it. It's already taken over.
I would definitely keep that in consideration.
Wouldn't you? Isn't that a scary thought? We're already being controlled by AI. I mean, I think it's James Cameron's point is a very scary, real possibility, I think, going on right now. That we could already have AI taken over. And even one of the Terminator movies he had nothing to do with, that was kind of the case. Like, they go to shut down Skynet. It wasn't like what was that? It was a horrible one. But they go to shut down Skynet, and Claire Danes was in it. And they get to the bunker where they shut down Skynet, and there's no Skynet. It's an old shut down bunker. And, Skynet was in the internet. It was already here. It was an algorithm inside the whole everything. It was in every computer and everything. There's no shutting it down.
And that's what's happening now with all the social media. Social media is controlling everything right now. And everybody's switching to these AI algorithms.
Yeah. I mean, they're talking about we're writing scripts for movies. Like, movies aren't bad enough. Now you got to hand it over to AI to do it. That's it for the World Wide Web of Weird. Our guest tonight is Pat Spain. He's the author of the On the Hunt book series. We're going to talk about one book. We're going to talk about all of them. We're going to get into all of it. But one of the books is the one I read is A Little Bigfoot on the Hunt in Sumatra, or How I Heard There Are Some Things That Really Do Not Taste Like Chicken. I love that title. He's got books of all these kind of titles. I love it. He's a great writer, adventurer, wildlife biologist, cryptozoologist. But we got to go to commercial break. When we come back with our guest, Pat Spain, tonight. And then later in the show, we'll open up the phone lines. You can call and join the conversation. If you had a cryptid you've seen, something weird, strange animal, maybe a strange bug. I don't know. This guy'd probably talk to you about it tonight. He likes the strange, weird stuff. I love the paranormal and the aliens. This guy's gone in a pit with 200,000 snakes. You all know how I feel about snakes. Why? We'll get to that. I'll have that question from tonight and many more when we come back tonight with our guest, Pat Spain, after the short commercial break.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do Voices from Beyond, the Cold Case Files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Of the second kind, physical evidence of a UFO. Close encounters of the third kind, contact. From Steven Spielberg, the director of Jaws, comes one of the most ambitious and unusual films ever made. And what you will see has never been seen before. It's a cosmic mystery crossing what many scientists believe will be the next threshold of human experience. It is called Close Encounters of the Third Kind. It begins in an Indiana town and leads to one inescapable conclusion. We are not alone. Close Encounters of the Third Kind. Certificate A. Now showing at the Odeon, Leicester Square.
The international chart-topping, Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest has been described as terrifyingly real, a must-read, shocking and chilling brilliance, genuinely worrying, utterly frightening. Don't read before bed. Described as one of the spookiest writers out there, best-selling author G.L. Davies presents Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest. The true paranormal account that is shocking the world. Dare you enter? Dare you read? Haunted Horror of Haverfordwest is available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Kindle, and wherever books are sold. Pray you never have to live there.
This is the sound of a space clock aboard a U.S. satellite 180 miles above the Earth. No one winds up this timepiece. It's powered by a tiny battery, a battery that delivers power for years without replacement. Now the same type of battery, the Duracell battery, can bring new reliability and long life to your battery-operated equipment. Radios, cameras, toys, all run far longer. Duracell batteries, the long-distance power cells, outlast any ordinary battery. The same type of battery that keeps space clocks running for years can bring long life to anything powered by batteries. Dura, as in durable. Cell, as in power cell. The Duracell battery, made by Mallory.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Switch to DCS ranging.
240, nominal to profile.
We're in the pipe. 5 by 5.
Tonight, our guest is Pat Spain. Pat is a wildlife biologist, cryptozoologist, biotech expert, TV presenter, keynote speaker, author, and cancer survivor with a passion for adventure. Pat is always enthusiastically seeking the next great escapade and the opportunity to add to his ever-growing list of things that have bitten or stung him. As his great nephew of the prophet of the Unexplained, Charles Fort, Pat thinks of himself as carrying on the family tradition by questioning the mainstream science, considering unusual explanations for bizarre phenomenon, and generally investigating those things most people write off as impossible. In the course of his journeys, Pat has been charged by a silverback gorilla, initiated into a remote Amazonian tribe by participating in the most extreme ceremonies in the world, the bullet ant ritual. Nearly 1 million YouTube views for that. Been 1,000 feet under the ocean in a 3-man sub. Nearly been shot down in a helicopter. Eaten a cat in Sumatra and a rat in Cameroon. Was laid down in a pit. This is the worst one. Of 275,000 snakes. No, man. No. Why? And spent up to 19 hours a day for 4 years running experiments in a spacesuit inside a sterile bubble in the state-of-the-art biotech lab. Dude, Biodome. Someone's saying one of my favorite cheesy movies. Oh my God, I've been waiting for him. His book that I've read is A Little Bigfoot, On the Hunt in Sumatra, or How I Learned There Are Some Things That Really Do Not Taste Like Chicken. He's got other titles like this you're gonna love. I love his writing style. You definitely got to check it out. And I also want to give a new update. Facebook has given us, I believe, stars. Of course, we have YouTube Super Chat. You can donate tonight on YouTube Super Chat. You can be a member on Patreon for $2 a month. But I guess we got Facebook stars now. You can donate money through there if you want to donate to the show. It does help pay the bills. We got a lot to get to, so let's go ahead and get to our guest. All right. Hopefully everything goes good. Fingers crossed. How you doing tonight, Pat?
Hey, I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing good. So sorry for the last time.
No problem.
That went on for 2 shows. We had just
bummer.
wonky internet, and I was like nothing I could do to fix it. And then it just got fine. Knock on wood.
Yep, that seems to be how it works. 2023.
Yeah. Let's slow down people's internet services. Let's just cringe them anymore because we're so addicted to our phones, right? Yeah, whatever. Technology brings us together, though.
Absolutely.
Anyways, I get to live vicariously doing the show. I don't get to travel a lot. You are living my dream of traveling, just not with the bugs and snakes, not the snakes.
I hear that quite a bit. Yeah, there's a lot of people who say they would love to come on the trip with me until they see the places where I stay and the bathrooms that I use.
Yeah, or the food you eat.
Or the food.
That was the book. I'm like, nope.
Yep.
Nope. Nope. I would not eat any of the things you probably ate that I read in that book. I would just nope. I've had food poisoning.
I get it. Absolutely.
No. So, Pat, I mean, let's give a little more background to you. If you would tell the audience, how did this life of adventure start for you?
So I've always been fascinated by biology, all animals, anything that I could catch, anything I could get a hold of. I raised venomous snakes in the basement and lied to my parents about what they were. I bred poisonous.
You would not have been my friend in high school.
I was every parent's dream. And yeah, not too many friends really wanted to do this stuff with me. All my friends thought I was crazy and still think I'm crazy. So I was and when you're that crazy guy who's, catching rattlesnakes or breeding poisonous spiders, you tend to get a crowd gathered around you at a safe distance, and they want to hear about it. So I love giving these.
I want to hear about it. You stand all the way over there, and you tell me about it.
Right, exactly. So I would end up giving a lot of these impromptu talks, and that was just so much fun because I could get people as enthused about wildlife as I was. Usually through a high tolerance for pain and lots of self-deprecating humor. So, one of the great things about working with animals is anytime that I don't get bitten, like while I'm giving a talk or something, people think I really know what I'm doing. But if I do get bitten, then everyone goes, yeah. It's like that's what they're all waiting for.
I was waiting for that, yes.
So
not me. I would be an audience looker that said, damn you. It's not what you suck at your job. Yes, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see it in movies when people get bitten by a snake in a movie. I'm like, I can't look.
Every time I've ever been bitten, it's been my fault. There's never been a time when it was like, oh,
it's not the animal's fault.
Exactly.
I know that.
No, I'm the one poking them. I'm the one messing with them. Like I'm pulling them out of their home. Like I don't blame them for biting me. So
I have a deep respect for animals, and I have a deep respect. Like, don't mess with them.
Right.
I remember the childhood story of it's the turtle and the scorpion, or the frog and the scorpion, or whatever. It has go to get a ride across the water on its back, and he says, "I promise I won't sting you. I won't sting you." And then, of course, they're halfway through, and it stings them, and it's like, well, that's my nature.
Right. What'd you think I was
gonna do? I have a healthy respect for wildlife and not to mess with them. Yeah. And I was talking about earlier. I don't like to even go. I don't want to be a hunter. I don't go hunting. I like to look at the wildlife from a distance. I used to love to go camping, and it used to not bother me. And then I ran into a rattlesnake in Kentucky, and about had a heart attack. I mean, literally, my wife thought I was having a heart attack. And that was the last time I went camping. I knew they were there. I knew they were there the whole time. I knew there was mountain lions, and I knew there, I knew, is there in my mind. But when you see it, it changes everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. So the first big filming trip I did was out to Arizona, and this was a self-funded wildlife show that I was doing on YouTube. So I always wanted to do these talks. I always wanted to do this stuff. I did a show on Animal Planet. They wanted to see me as a host, so I decided to kind of put my money where my mouth was, and I found a couple camera guys. I wrote my friends into this. I wrote my then girlfriend, who's now my wife, into this. Flew us out to Arizona, and we were filming. And these two camera guys were 21 at the time, I think. They were madmen, just crazy. They're super funny. They're two of my best friends now. At the time, I was just getting to know them, and I warned them. Like, we're on the plane, and I'm going, guys, we're going to be finding scorpions. We're going to be finding rattlesnakes. We're going to be hopefully Gila monsters. Like, all this stuff is there. And the first day that we're there, these guys are reaching under rocks. They're pulling bark off of trees. They're doing it. And I was like, you're being really stupid. But this is great footage. Like, so I'm warning them. And then the second night, we actually found a Mojave rattlesnake, which is the deadliest snake in America. It's the most dangerous snake in America. And after that, these guys walked in single file behind me.
Yep, changes everything, doesn't it?
Yep.
Doesn't it change everything? Oh,
that was it.
Well, I went this place we went camping. This is before the rattlesnake. I took two buddies there that had never really been out camping. Like, one of the parents were millionaires. He never went camping, and the other guy, I don't know. I don't think he really did too much. And I take him out, where you have to hike 2 miles out to your campsite. Nothing compared to what you're doing. But it was roughneck. And I mean, we were in the Navy SEALs out there. Like, what are you stoners doing out here? Like, what are you doing out here? They were stoners. Literally woke up one morning to them cooking bacon and stuff off on a cliff when there's, mountain lions. Dudes, what are you doing? But watched two guys that like bust each other's balls all day. Then I took them to go spelunking. Watch those guys. No more ball busting. Oh, here, let me help you, dude. Oh, man, here. Oh, just a teamwork, baby. Teamwork. No busting balls or anything. I even had one guy get stuck on a stalactite wall trying to climb up out. Like, I can't, I'm not going to make it. Like, it's through fear. It brings people together in teamwork.
Heights and snakes will take the wind out of everybody.
Yep.
That's one of those.
Heights are my
things.
wife's one. She doesn't do heights. Heights have not bothered me. Like, I just realized if I go, I'm going to splat. Something about snakes and the bite. And ooh.
I get it.
How many times have you been bitten? Probably too many to count.
I couldn't even count. Yeah, I mean dozens, if not more than that. But all different species, everything you can think of. I've been bitten by a rattlesnake, by a neotropical rattlesnake. That's the last time I ever freed. So I promised my wife after that I would never.
So you were just holding this poisonous snake?
Stupidly.
I mean, it's super poisonous, and you're just handling it.
Yeah.
Why, Patrick?
Because I was young and dumb.
You were young and dumb. I will agree with that. So wait. So you're holding this.
Yeah, filming.
What were you doing?
Filming.
What was this for filming? Oh my god!
And I was paying more attention to the camera than to the snake that's in my hand. So I'm holding him, and what you got to do is keep your hands completely flat. If you ever do this, which no one should, in my opinion, there are people who do it who feel very safe and feel. I think it's too dangerous. So I was doing it, and you're supposed to move with their head. So as their head moves, you have to kind of follow it because you don't want their head coming back to a part of you, and I was not paying attention. I was paying attention to the camera, and the snake started to fall, and I stupidly just grabbed it, and I made it feel threatened, and you can see it on the footage. You can see it just reach around and just bite me right in the arm, and I was like, oh, no.
So would you have an antidote? What happened?
No. About 25% of the time that rattlesnakes bite, they don't inject any venom, so I just got lucky. It was a dry bite.
Whew, my God.
Yep,
and you said you promised your wife you'll never do that again?
Yeah, and I haven't. I've never free-handed.
I bet she's made you swear that one.
Oh yeah, I've caught rattlesnakes since then. I've caught other venomous snakes since then, but never without the right tools. And
what you're doing, I'm not. What you're doing is awesome. I mean, going out there, like discovering this stuff. I want somebody out there doing it, not me. I'll do the ghost. I'll do the aliens ghost stuff, man. I am not doing that. So I want somebody out there because I really want to know: is there a Bigfoot? Is there a Littlefoot? I want somebody to go out there and do what you're doing. But I mean, even the best trained handlers with animals. There's been snake owners they find dead. You know what I'm saying? because they did something. They made one wrong move with a poisonous snake in, they're gone. You know,
It's getting cocky. That's what it comes down to. And I was
too
guilty of it.
complacent.
Yeah, it's just you have to have that healthy amount of respect. And so I live very close to a place called Nerd, New England Reptile Distributors, and I used to volunteer there, and it's amazing. It's just an absolutely incredible place, and the guy that runs it, he is just the guru. Like, he is the snake whisperer, and he has that incredibly healthy respect. And I would be shocked if anything, now knock on wood, if anything bad ever happens to him with his animals, because he's so natural and so good and so calm and everything about it. And there's never that arrogance. There's never that cockiness.
Yeah.
That's what does
I mean, I think there's people that are not arrogant or cocky. I just think if you make the wrong move, you do the wrong mistake. Sometimes you're tired. Yeah. You're human. You know, You're not perfect. I mean, Steve Irwin. I mean, he died a tragic, just out of, the odds of it happening and crazy.
That was awful.
Horrible.
Yeah, in the ocean, and it's from something like a stingray. That's
really
not that dangerous. I mean, it's really like
yeah.
Just the sting itself wouldn't be bad. It's just, I mean, he got essentially a 10-inch knife through the heart. Like, that's.
Yeah. I mean, he looked like he was doing stupid stuff with animals, but the guy really didn't know his stuff usually,
Yeah.
That was a complete freak accident.
It was. It was awful.
But this is what I'm saying, Patrick. You're out there. You're doing these things. I mean, you have a respect, but things can go wrong.
Oh, sure.
I'm actually. You have a very lighthearted approach to it. But there's fear in it. Into your orangutan incident in the book. I just watched. No, I made the mistake because my kids wanted to watch Nope. And I said, I let them watch things I know I shouldn't. And that was definitely a bad one. Because in that, they have this whole side story with this chimpanzee that goes nuts and murders these people on a live TV or on a TV show filming.
Yeah,
and it's it's awful. Like I was like, okay, we stopped the movie. Liam is like, oh, this is too much.
Chimps are the scariest animals on Earth.
Right.
Hands down, the scariest animals on Earth. I will work with primate. I've worked with a lot of primates, and I've worked with all the great apes when they are young.
Yeah.
Once they reach sexual maturity, they're all pretty intense, but none more so than chimps. They are the scariest animal on Earth.
Yeah, I mean, I always wonder how that went with Michael Jackson, his pet ship. I heard there was horrible stories of it, getting by, because I mean, he had it way past maturity.
Yeah.
I think he had to get rid of it because of that. I mean, it's like the Friends. They had the even the macaw, or what does he call it, the monkey. It got to a certain age, they had to take it off. Yeah, they had to take it off the show because it was getting violent. I mean, these things can really hurt or kill you. I'll never forget. I mean, we can talk about your silverback gorilla thing. That's frightening.
Oh, yeah.
I was at Brookfield Zoo, and they had this glass enclosure. I was on a junior high trip.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll never forget, these dumb kids were going up to the glass, and nobody's paying attention, no teachers, nobody workers. And I even said something, and I was like, you guys, you're playing with fire. I wouldn't do that. And I just got away because I'm like, somebody's going to get in trouble. And I'm glad I did it because it was not a minute later, this huge gorilla, and it had silver on the back of his seat. I don't know if it's a silverback or not, but it was definitely elder gorilla. Came up to that window and was boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was shaking everything. Everybody stopped and shut up, and the whole loud place, all you could hear was just that gorilla, and everybody's like, and those kids got in trouble. We got kicked out. Yep, it was bad news.
Yeah, when there's no glass between you, they're pretty intense.
I was afraid it was going to get through the glass, you know? See, I've always had a healthy respect for animals. I did, even as a teenager. I looked at those kids and I said, "You're going to ask for trouble."
Yeah.
Because I even knew then that you don't poke animals. You don't. And the gorilla would destroy you if that glass wasn't there. And I don't even know if I can count on the glass.
Yeah.
But that just shows you how stupid humans are.
Yeah, I was charged by a silverback. No glass between us in the Central African Republic.
Oh my God.
It was terrifying. Absolutely terrifying.
I mean, I would crap myself. I would crap myself.
I was close.
I bet.
So do you run? What happens when they chase you?
Yeah, let's get to
run.
So, you don't want to run.
It's just like I kind of thought of it the way that what I've
Jurassic Park.
When all the football players used to pick on you in high school or something, like, you just try to make yourself look small and try to make yourself look less intimidating. So as they would go to walk by, you'd just be like, "Oh, don't see me, don't see me." Kind of the same thing. Like, the silverback, starts charging, and the first thing you do is look down and just try to do anything that just shows him that he is dominant and you are subservient. And there's
they did that. Have you seen the movie Nope?
No, I haven't.
Jordan Peele's movie. Todd Reiner shared. I know Todd's gonna be like, "Oh God, that movie sucked." I liked it, but in it, I don't give too much away. But what they're dealing with is kind of like it's a predator, and they hint to it and visually do that. And the characters would do this. It's like above them, and he would just not look at it. And as long as he didn't look at it, it wouldn't get him. It wouldn't come at him.
And that's, I mean, with a lot of different animals, like the thinking animals, where he's not looking. This silverback wasn't looking to eat me. It's not looking to, all that it wants to do is dominate, just prove its dominance. I mean, the silverback's main role is to protect its troop, to protect the harem, the females and the young. So what happened?
And its position too, right? I mean, because they kind of have a hold of position. The silverback is like the lion kind of.
Yeah, they like that. They develop physiological changes. Like they get that silver color, they get more broad, they get bigger, like that, and they're the only mating male in that troop. So that's that's the highest position that they can be in, and they want to maintain that. And anything that poses a threat to that has to be nullified immediately. So we were on this hike, and following this troop of gorillas, and apparently there was another male in the area, and one of the silverback that we were following, one of the women, like the females in his harem, kind of checked out the other guy, and that got him embarrassed. So he threw her against a tree and then charged at me and the crew, just to like exert the dominance. And that's what it was. It was, splashing and grunting and screaming, and, and so you just look down and very subservient and everything. And he kind of splashed once more, kind of, puffed himself up and then walked away. And that was it. Like, okay, as long as you guys know that I'm tough. Yes, you are.
What did the other man
very, very big. I am very, very small.
Oh yeah. Everyone was freaking out. Everyone was super nervous.
Yeah,
and even the guides, the people who are around them more often. It was it was pretty intense.
No, when people talk about Bigfoot, encountering Bigfoot, you don't see that kind of behavior usually in the encounters. It makes me wonder how much of a different species it would be if it exists. I'm saying, this is how it has a harem. They have the social pack there. Where the Bigfoot is very lone.
Yeah.
Most of the time, I'm saying, it doesn't react.
Orangutans are the most, they're the most solitary of the great apes.
Are they?
So, and they tend to be less aggressive, more elusive, wanting to avoid conflict more than charging or defending or anything like that. Their first instinct is to get away. I mean, they can be very dangerous if confronted and if attacked, obviously. And the older male orangutans can especially be dangerous, but it's not the same kind of thing as a chimp or a gorilla. And it's also about the diet as well. Chimps are meat eaters, and orangutans and gorillas are not. Like, they will eat insects, they will eat a couple things, but primarily
plants. Yeah, I think I just saw. I didn't cover it in my Worldwide Web of Weird, but it was a story of a monkey with a dog in India on the roof. He's gonna eat that dog. He's gonna eat that dog. That isn't cute. Trust me, that monkey's trying to eat that dog because it's starving. But literally, it's a monkey on this roof with his dog, like,
like running away with it. Yeah,
you don't need this, right?
Right. Yeah,
I'm hungry. Yeah, this is what's going on. The monkeys are in some of these cities after COVID. I've gone nuts because the people would give them food, and there'd be a lot of people out. But then you have lockdowns. There's not people out on the streets, and there's not food and garbage being left out for these monkeys. That their whole society, for a long time now, has been depending on. The monkeys have gone rampant and crazy about it.
Yeah. And that's the unfortunate thing with human interaction with any wildlife. Once they start depending on humans as a source of food, they lose that kind of natural fear, that natural, we want to stay away from you, and it can lead to a lot of really dangerous encounters. We see that all the time in the U.S. We see that with coyotes and with raccoons. I was attacked by a rabid raccoon when I was 21.
I'm in Michigan City, Indiana, and they had a bear come across the border from Michigan. And my wife was so angry. She's like, why did they kill it? Why didn't they just trank it and take it back? I'm like, because it'd probably just come right back down here.
It would. Yeah. Once they're
it's gotten too close to people. Yep.
Yeah. And bears. So I worked with some black bears, and at this black bear sanctuary, the guy who ran the place just describes them as really big squirrels. I thought that was great. But
my 7-year-old has his favorite animal is a bear. Like he wants to pet a bear. I'm like, that's never going to happen.
Well, I've been bitten by a young black bear, and I've worked with black bears and grizzlies at a distance, never very close, but I've worked with black bears, and black bears are pretty great. They are smarter than a lot of people give them credit for, and
smarter than the average bear.
I knew it was going to go there.
I can't help it.
But as soon as when they learn a food source,
no, sorry,
they really will kind of keep on going back to that. So you'll find a black bear where you had a bird feeder 5 years ago, and the black bear went there on May 23rd, and every year on May 23rd the black bear is going to show up and be like, oh nope, not there this year. Okay, come back the next year. So
yeah.
I mean, they do recognize that. So that's one of the reasons why when we do have an aggressive bear, when they do see something where they've lost that fear of humans, it's kind of a tough situation.
Or they did too much cocaine.
Right, or the cocaine.
We covered that on the show years ago, and now it's a movie. I'm like, oh my god.
They took a few liberties with the movie.
Oh, a few, quite a few, but it looks hilarious. I haven't seen it yet.
It does look good. It does look really good.
But that poor bear in real life, yeah. He's still
no.
trying to beat that cocaine addiction.
Right. Just years and years of rehab. I mean, keeps on trying.
That's going to be the after the music special. No. I'm sorry. My kids want to see that movie so bad. I'm like, no. They love anything. Like, they're all into the cryptozoological thing. They love Bigfoot, Dogman. They love all the weird stuff, you probably did as a kid.
That was always me.
And drugged up animals, I guess, because they saw the preview of Cocaine Bear and they're like, I want to see that. I'm like, that is not for kids.
Yeah.
It's not for kids. They're still begging me. I'm like, well, it's $20 right now. No.
Right.
It's like, but they were begging me to see that. I'm like, you can't see that. It's about a bear that gets high on cocaine. Okay.
Right.
Like, come on. Give me a break here, kids. But if they did anything wild beast slaughter, we've watched with zoo zombies. Animals like turn into zombies. Oh,
I saw Zombievers. That was
Zombievers. Don't let them find out about it. I'll have to sit through that too. But they love all that stuff. So I mean, I've always interested in it. Like for me, mainly is like Bigfoot. But you've covered a lot of things. Like you have the bulletproof ground sloth. Bulletproof ground sloth in Brazil. Yeah, 200,000 snakes. We'll get to that later when I can deal with it. Sea serpents. Yep. That's my worst fears combined. A serpent in the ocean. I am afraid.
I went to school for marine bio, so that was great for me. That one was.
So I want to get into some of that tonight. I want to definitely cover some of your stuff in that. But in the book, we haven't got to it yet, totally. I don't want to give away the book, but again, you dealt with this orangutan, and like I said, I know I would be really afraid to be in the presence of anything that I know can rip my arms off.
Yeah, or other parts of you.
As you experienced.
Yeah.
You want to tell that story a little bit to the audience, give an idea how this book goes?
Oh, yeah. There's some good clips of that one too. So Pinky is an orangutan, and as we're filming in Sumatra, I'm talking about the orang pendek. And I'm talking about the differences between how humans walk and how most other primates walk. So we were talking about this one particular thing called brachiation, which is a way that primates get through kind of climbing, and how it's very different in humans. So we were going to show this by having me interact with an orangutan. And I'm hesitant to work with any adult grade 8. Right. The young ones are super fun, but Pinky was older than I would normally be comfortable with. But the people at the zoo reassured me, she's very, very comfortable. She's really great with people. As long as you know what you're doing. Do you know what you're doing? I'm like, yeah, I've worked with them before. I kind of know the general ins and outs of this. And they're like, all right, yeah. So sign a bunch of waivers. We go in there and I do.
You sign the waivers. You're good to go.
Tons of waivers. Oh yeah. So I get in there and I'm completely ignoring her, and the goal is to get her interested in something that you're doing. Because if you just walk over there, she's either going to get aggressive or run away. So I do that, and it takes maybe like an hour, half an hour or so, and she kind of comes over, and I'm like, okay, great. So she grabs my hand, and this is great stuff for the camera. Now we've got this cute orangutan kind of holding my hand, and it just goes from there. Pinky gets way more comfortable with me than anyone was expecting. And Pinky is now, after 20 minutes of that, Pinky's reaching down my shirt and grabbing my chest and drawing blood and then poking my belly button and then reaching into my pants and grabbing other parts of me and hitting other parts and all while the camera crew is just laughing hysterically. So for 2 hours, they're just laughing at me while this orangutan just completely manhandles
Is molesting
me.
you. It's molesting.
Oh yeah. For over 2 hours. So finally, I'm trying to get her hand out of my pants while I'm holding her head back from biting me. So she's biting my feet, she's biting my clothing and ripping. So after a little while, she's ripped my shirt open, she's undone my pants and has one hand all the way under my pants and another one reached around the back, and her mouth is coming towards my chest. And I'm screaming, Pinky, we're friends. Friends don't bite. Friends don't bite.
Friends don't bite.
No idea why this is what's coming into my head.
You think that would have been the safe word for the guys, the crew, to come help you? That's a safe word, you idiots, or you didn't know.
They will never help me, ever. That is very. I'm friends with all these guys. They're amazing. They have
friends don't bite.
Yeah. They're like, we will never come on camera for any reason. If you are in danger, it is your fault. You will deal with it.
What about the zoo people?
The zoo people are not, they're instructed to stay off camera. That's what they're going to do. So,
turn the camera off. I can't go in.
When she started actually biting me, one of the guys did go to run in.
Okay, I hope so.
So I'm kind of pushing her head back and screaming and all this. And finally she backs off and she comes over and tries to grab me again. And I kind of pushed her hand away and I start walking. And it was like, oh man. So I'm just all disheveled and, bleeding. Yeah. I got assaulted and molested by an orangutan.
Yes, you did. Shows your commitment.
Was she acting playful when she was was she moving really fast and aggressively? Was she kind of like, ripped your shirt, or?
It started playful and then it went into something beyond that.
It was foreplay?
Very, very quickly. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, let's get it on.
Yeah, it was pretty rough.
She was dimming the lights, turning the Isaac Hayes on in the background. You ready? Let's go, Pat.
There's a family member who insists that something horrible and permanently damaging has happened to me because of that orangutan.
Oh, yeah.
The Pinky incident.
Yeah, Pinky stuck her pinky somewhere she wasn't supposed to. Oh my god.
Yes.
Oh, see, I would. Yeah.
Yeah, I got a little proctology exam from an orangutan.
I always wondered, like they've done these movies back in the day, like the Clint Eastwood movie had orangutan on the set, and other things is like, how did they manage that? Like these people, they're young, trained, they train them, but it's like after seeing that Nope movie last night, like, well, I'm surprised that's not happened on a set where one of these things of like try to kill somebody.
Well, chimps, chimps, they understand pain. They're one of the only animals that actually understands the concept of pain. And that's why they go for the face and the crotch, because they know that that's going to hurt the most. That's a terrifying concept right there, just knowing that. I know a woman who had 3 fingers on one of her hands bitten off by a chimp.
Oh my god!
She's a primatologist, and she's like, "Yeah, no, I work with gorillas now because
oh my god!
Enough.
Oh my god!
Yeah,
I mean, I remember Matthew Broderick movie with the chimps, like they're using them as test pilots and put them in.
Yeah,
I would not put that past our U.S. government to do something like that. I would not. I would not put it past. It seems like a wild, stupid screenplay idea, but it really probably is something we did.
Oh man, yeah. I did a whole episode of Legend Hunter, and it was these like wild, it was all these conspiracy theories and everything else, and we did a whole piece on MK Ultra. And if you start explaining that to people, it sounds crazy. It sounds like there's no way that ever happened, and it absolutely did.
Yes, it did.
It was pretty nuts. Yeah, we talked about the Havana syndrome. And
that's still going on. There's still people claiming it. Now they're trying to say they're claiming it because it's some, like, get PTO time or people are just faking it, they're trying to say, or something like that. I'm like, it didn't sound like that in the beginning.
That's what they were saying. So we were filming right as these stories were coming out. We actually changed the entire trajectory of the episode because there was a couple new cases of it. So we met with people from the CIA who were working in Havana and like really kind of digging into this, and it was the same kind of thing. They were just blowing this off and saying no, it's nothing. And then as you're getting more stories about it, it's like, well, yeah, there's something there. It's pretty intense.
I mean, like lately, I just saw an article where they're trying to blow it off. They're still trying to blow it off.
Yeah, they're saying this technology doesn't exist. And then we met with a guy who created this direct sonic technology, and he actually showed us and did it with me. It was pretty cool.
Yeah. This technology doesn't exist, my butt.
And we have HARP,
Yeah.
I mean, it goes back to Tesla. I mean, this technology completely has existed for a long time. There's a number of ways you could do it to make people sick like that are silent and deadly.
Oh yeah, so this guy in Massachusetts, it wasn't anything that was dangerous at all. It was just this auditory technology where he has he can direct sound waves. So he has a transmitter, and he can point it at somebody, and the person next to you can't hear it at all.
Right.
But the person that he's pointing it at, it sounds like someone's whispering in your ear, and they can be 100 feet away, 200 feet away.
Yeah.
It was wild. We used it on a trail.
Like an actual whisper?
Yeah. Yeah, you can hear, and it sounds like the person is right next to you, and you can't tell what direction it's coming in because it's non-directional. It's like a beam of sound.
So I gotta get a tinfoil hat on and go like this.
Yeah.
100% believe that.
It was really, really cool. No, they did it. They used it. There you go. So in the episode, in our opening, we filmed me in this parking garage, and I put on a tinfoil hat, and I did it, and the test audiences didn't get the reference at all. They didn't understand.
Oh, what?
So it ended up getting cut out. Yeah, they didn't get the
How
joke.
did I get that? Yeah, whatever. Test audiences suck. But they must, because whatever they're testing on, all this crap they're putting on movies and TV, what test audiences are they using? Dear God.
So I don't know if it still is the case, but I know a few years ago, the majority of the test audiences were drunk people in Vegas.
That explains everything, Pat. That explains everything.
Yeah. Yeah, it's pretty fun. So whatever is going to keep their attention.
James Cameron's blaming AI. I'm blaming the drunk people in Las Vegas screen testing stuff, telling Hollywood, yeah, that's the thing. I like that.
This is great. I love it. Yeah, I don't get that at all.
Yeah, that's how we're getting these movies. That explains so much. Now, in the book, you have a number of different books. I want to get into the other stuff, but for the hunt for Little Bigfoot, what is the orangutan?
Yeah, orangutan. So orangutan is like so I think Lauren Coleman gets it right when he says that it's probably describing at least two different species. So what we have is, throughout history, people describing a small hairy hominid, so like Bigfoot but smaller, in Sumatra, and the accounts vary. And you really get everything from a range of it's much more like a gibbon or an orangutan, all the way to it's a very small person. And I think that is probably representing two different potential animals that either are there or have been there very recently. And what gave this a lot of credence was when Mike Morwood found Homo floresiensis, or the Hobbit.
The Hobbit.
So this was an actual group of hominids, so of early human relations that lived on the island of Flores, and probably on some of the other surrounding islands in Indonesia, and was a very small human-like bipedal hominid. So that could possibly be one of the explanations for orangutan. But then there's other ones that are described as more hairy. So what I found when I went there, I went in there thinking that it was most likely mistaken identity. That this was probably people who, were either seeing a gibbon or seeing an orangutan and were, just catching a glimpse of it and kind of putting these stories back into play. But I was wrong. When I was there and when I was actually talking to people who truly, I believe, saw this, and when I saw all of the evidence and I talked to the experts, and even Mike Morwood said that he had evidence that he believes that Homo floresiensis was there until at least the 1920s. And I said, do you think that this could still be there? And he goes, yeah, there's 17,000 islands in Indonesia, something crazy like that. He's like, yeah, absolutely, of course. I think it would be absolutely plausible that that one of these species could still be around on one of these islands. And
it'd be a small population. I mean,
yeah, and you don't have to have a huge population in order to maintain it,
right.
especially on these island communities.
We've found lost tribes that aren't huge, that
right.
have that no contact. I mean, they obviously are all interbreeding.
Yeah, and what people describe orang pendek as, they say that it doesn't have a home range, that it's a wanderer, and there isn't really we can't point to one place where you'd be able to find one. They say they don't use trails. They're out at night, which is unusual for great apes. So none of the great apes are active at night. The only ape that's active at night is a gibbon, which is in Indonesia. And they talk about it being, much more upright. They talk about it using the forest as kind of a buffet. Like, it eats a whole bunch of different things and being a wanderer. So all of these traits combined make it very unlikely that we would be able to find one. It would probably exist in small numbers, even when there were a lot of them. And the people that I talked to, they would say, somebody would say, I've only seen it once. My parents said that they saw a few of them and their grandparents saw it more frequently. And my parents and no one that I know has ever seen a young one. So if they're likely long-lived. And if they are still there, then it's probably some older individuals that are just, hanging around.
The last of them.
The last of them, unfortunately.
Yeah. I mean, they could be gone.
Yes.
We just missed them.
Might not, right. We might have missed them within the last 50 years. So, but I do think that they were there very, very recently. And there may be a few lone individuals that are still there. But because of the topography of Sumatra, because of the government of Sumatra that's so difficult to get in there to do any kind of expeditions. I mean, the red tape is beyond anything I've ever experienced in my life, and that's for a film crew. And it's harder to launch a scientific expedition into there.
Right.
That I had my eyes open, and I think that I was wrong. I do believe that this animal is or was there very recently.
What was it that really convinced you of that? What was the key piece of evidence that made you go, okay, I think we're dealing with something different here?
Seeing the habitat in Sumatra and seeing, because everyone says, well, everybody's got smartphones and, there's people everywhere. And
I don't know many chargers out in the rainforest. And,
right. I climbed a mountain that, as far as we know, there's been less than 10 people that have ever been on that mountain.
Wow.
Ever. And and there's so many other places like that there. This is untouched rainforest. I mean, this is like when you're a little kid and you think about what a rainforest looks like. Once you get older and actually go to rainforest, you realize that doesn't exist. That's not really like that image, that Hollywood image of, Avatar or something. That's actually in Sumatra. That does exist in Sumatra, but it's the only place that I've ever seen this truly untouched rainforest with, multiple feet of moss. That what I always say is, a lot of places that you go, like if you go out to Montana, you go out to Wyoming, you can go to a place where you would be shocked if you came across another person, but you wouldn't be shocked to find a cigarette butt on the ground.
Right.
Like, you see evidence that humanity has been there. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's not the case in Sumatra. I mean, this is truly untouched. And all the traits of the animal, the biology of it lend credence to it. This isn't some massive bloodthirsty animal that's going to be charging around and super territorial, and it's not,
those are the ones we find. Those are the ones that we can document because you can get them to draw outies. That's what I was saying. The difference with Bigfoot, it doesn't react that way.
Right.
Like a gorilla would.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's really what. So that evidence, seeing it, and then talking to some of the eyewitnesses, and especially one of the guys really called me out on it because he could tell that I was going towards a gibbon. And this guy just kind of laughed, and he goes, look, the only people who don't believe in orang pendek are people who've never been to my forest. I was like, all right, fair.
He knows what he's seen. He lives there.
Yeah.
He should know what a gibbon is, right?
Yeah, I'm there for 2 weeks. And, who am I going to tell this guy that he doesn't know what he's seen?
Right.
And, like he sees gibbons all the time. He knows exactly what these are. He knows that this was something different. And
What
that
did he see though? What version of it did he see?
he saw that it was gibbon-like. It was a hairier, upright walking gibbon, essentially.
Right.
Upright walking nocturnal, which from an evolutionary perspective also does make sense, because the tigers in Sumatra are the apex predator. And we did see a tiger one. We got pretty
that I
close
wouldn't
to
want to
it.
mess with.
No one was freaked out because they say the tigers in Sumatra are very polite. I was like, well, that's good. I'd much rather have polite tigers, but they leave people alone. They really, and the theory is that
They're smart, yeah.
Humans are so other. We appear so different than any other natural creature that we just don't look like a normal prey species. And most predators, they want the easiest meal that they can get.
Yeah.
They don't want something that's going to put up a fight. They don't want something that looks weird, something that they're not sure how it's going to behave. Like, I don't need to eat that giant thing that's walking on two legs. Like, I have 5 pigs in the area and a whole bunch of other, like, there's a little baby tapir. I have a bunch of other options here. I'm going to leave that thing alone. So if you're a gibbon who are predated by tigers, but you start walking upright like humans, you start becoming more nocturnal.
Because
and
they
you stop
see
using
humans.
trails.
And they see humans.
Right.
Like they see humans and the tiger. Well, that tiger didn't mess with them.
Right.
I need to start straightening up here.
Well, maybe not consciously, but yeah.
But, it works for them.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Yes,
that makes sense. Never thought about it that way.
Yeah, it
could be an
have the same
evolutionary.
advantages that people have, and this is and the thing is, what they say that they've been dying out and they're starting to disappear. A lot of
what they say is, since the plantations have happened, since like rubber plantations and that sort of thing have showed up, that it's disrupting their habitat. It's disrupting like their way.
You did something to your microphone just now. I mean, I can hear you fine. It just seems like you're a little drier or more.
Ooh, sorry about that. Let's see. I noticed that my plug had come out while I was gesticulating.
Okay.
So.
No, is that any better?
Yeah, it's good. You're good.
How about that? Yeah?
That's good. Yeah.
Okay.
Right, Jamie? Sound all right? Yep. Yeah, no, you sound good. Sorry, I just want to make sure there wasn't any audio issues happening.
No, I made one motion and I pulled the mic out a little bit.
It happens. So one of the things is you said they kind of like the Rhinebedeck uses like the florist as like a smorgasbord. So it's a vegetarian, like eating like the plants and stuff, or is it eating a smorgasbord of animals there?
A few people have seen them raid birds' nests to eat eggs, but otherwise, yeah, plants. It seems to be primarily vegetarian.
So that's what I've always wondered about Bigfoot. I've heard varying stories. I mean, I grew up with remember Harry and the Hendersons.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Like I when my kids were all interested in Bigfoot, I'm like, let's put on Harry and the Hendersons, and they loved it.
Yeah.
But they're like, but now we want to watch that movie, Dad, which is like Killer Bigfoot or something on Prime. It's on Prime, remember, And like, oh god, dang it! Like they want the monster, of course. Yeah. And then their question is does Bigfoot eat plants or does it eat animals, Dad? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. I've heard all different stories. I've heard more. It sounds like it would might be a carnivore. I don't know.
I think so. I'm on the fence with Bigfoot.
Yeah.
Honestly, there's a lot of like Cliff Barackman is a friend, and I really respect him. And Jeff Meldrum, I think, has some amazing work. So I respect a lot of the guys who are right there and are that truly know that this animal is there. And I would never tell them that they're wrong because I don't. I don't know that.
I don't know either.
I go with Darren Naish where he just says that, the evidence isn't compelling to him enough to be able to make that leap and say that he's absolutely 100% that it is there. But I know that there are regions of the Pacific Northwest that could house an animal like is described. It could be there. There is that possibility. And these stories have persisted throughout generations. I mean, I spoke with First Nations tribes in British Columbia who told me these stories about it. And, how it is a true creature, not a spirit animal. They make that distinction. So it could be there. I think that if it were, I would be more inclined to say, the same kind of thing as orangutan, a vegetarian to, scavenge. But I think that if there was more of a hunt, then it would be more likely that we would see it. And that's the reason why I go more on that kind of, you know.
I also thought if it was like a carnivore, carnivores follow the prey.
Yeah.
And I think that would expose it more if it had to like follow, you know, somebody claims that they eat rabbits. Well, I'm like, well, rabbits will migrate some to different areas. They would have to follow the game. I mean, it could explain why they get sighted sometimes because they are doing that, but I don't know. I think it would put them in a better position to be exposed if they were carnivores.
That's exactly where my brain goes too. Is that if you're, I mean, when you're tracking and hunting a prey, that's what you're focused on. You're not focused on staying hidden.
Right.
As much, you know, you're focused on staying hidden from the prey, but not from anything else that's around you. So,
but
yeah.
It's like the orangutan. It doesn't really eat meat. It eats what's in the forest and bugs, and you know, then it stays pretty hidden that way. That's what you know, the evidence. I would think as I try to explain to kids, I'm like, it's probably like Harry and the Hendersons.
Yeah,
yeah, I would. I was like, but they also saw, you know, they've also seen a horror Bigfoot movie where the Bigfoot eats people.
Yeah,
I don't think that's the case. I've always thought it has to be somewhat vegetarian. Maybe it eats little small things that aren't, but it's also the problem is you're talking like when you know, little Bigfoot I can see getting away with eating off the forest, you know, and the little things it finds, whatever. But an 800-pound animal, I would guess it'd have to be like that for the size they talk about. Some of these Bigfoot, you know, 600 pounds. Something. It's got a lot of mass and muscle and needs protein.
All the biggest animals are vegetarian. Elephants, hippos, whale. Oh, well, I mean, whales are eating krill, but all the land animals, you know, all the giant, huge megafauna that we see are.
So you think it could survive off the like North American woods, off the food supply that would just be there naturally?
I would think so.
No, not prey. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone's got to keep it hidden if it's real. You know, you know, we get into the paranormal discussions on here. A lot of people go down the paranormal route with the Bigfoot.
Yeah.
And I'm fine, open to that conversation because there's ideas of time slips and UFOs and aliens and all this other stuff. But at the same time, and I'm fine getting into that conversation. I love having that conversation, but I do like having the conversation we're having when you get into the actual biological life forms and what they have to do to survive here. I think humans are one of the most interesting species because we don't seem to fit.
No, so we change our environment to us rather than changing ourselves to the environment. Yeah.
You know, I mean, we get sunburns. We have to put on clothes. We just don't seem fit for this environment.
We're incredibly adaptable. I mean, that's really what it comes down to. Like the most adaptable species are going to be the ones that survive. You know, it's humans, rats. That's cockroaches. You know, it's the really the ones that can adapt to a wide variety of climates. And humans figured it out through tool use. Like that was once we developed tool use, then kind of everything else sprang from that. Because now you're no longer tethered to just what your body can provide. Like you're making extensions of your body. You know, clothing when you're cold. The ability to hunt much larger animals that you don't need to grow, you know, huge claws or massive fangs or anything like that. And then when we started cooking meat as well, that freed us up a lot too, because that's doing a lot of the work that, you know, we don't have to do anymore. Like the cooking is already making the protein more readily available. You can digest this much faster. So the kind of between cooking food and developing tools like that's what brought us to where we are.
It's just amazing, though, that compared to all the other life on Earth, we developed this thing that we have to literally change the environment around us to survive.
Like, but there were a lot of other hominin species. I mean, we had dozens of different species of humans that were living alongside each other. Just Homo sapiens are the ones that won out. And I love the competing theories of why that is. You know, it might be because we were really awful. We were really ruthless and evil. And
that's my opinion.
That's one of
the.
Well,
I mean, no, just look at the history of genetics. Look, they can genetically tie everybody back to Genghis Khan. Like he has so much office because he was an awful person. He had a lot of power and had a lot of harem. So you know, he had a lot of poor women he raped.
Well, so when I was in Mongolia, there's still a huge kind of difference of opinion on who he truly was. compared to what the West thinks of him versus the people in Mongolia. But
Right.
yes, I mean there's no denying that he has a massive amount of descendants in the world. It's a percentage of the human population can be tied back.
Well, I mean, to the people in Mongolia, I mean, the legend lives on. He's like a god.
It's pretty remarkable. Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy how one human being can put that much of imprint on society,
Yeah.
But he was the strongest and survived and spread his seed far and wide.
He did.
It genetically changed the path of humans. We come from ancestors of a-holes, probably, that had to do the hard things to survive.
And that's the other really, one of the most fascinating things about Mongolia to me was that it was, without a doubt, the nicest country of people that I have ever met in my life. Just that I have ever encountered. Just the most friendly, the most welcoming, the most caring, kind, cared about all life, all creatures, and came from Genghis Khan. So
Right.
Just trying to make that work is pretty fascinating.
Well, they I think societies and cultures learn from their mistakes. Hopefully, I know we have people way worse than Genghis Khan. They just,
True.
There's been people way worse than Genghis Khan.
Yes, absolutely.
But I give Genghis Khan a break because, one, I love Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, and he was awesome in that. And two, it was the times.
Different
You know
times.
what I'm saying?
Different
It was the times. You conquered, you divided, you pillaged, you took on 3 or 4 or 5, 20, 30 wives.
1700, 2000.
It was in. It was in. It was a sign of the times, But it's interesting though when you talk about humans, how we've gone from we've developed, we're such a different species, but it is, by the way, I mean, a little bit of Darwinism is the fittest survive, and they pass on that genetic line of aggression or whatever it is that made it to take you to survive, and for Bigfoot, whatever's helped them survive is to stay the heck away from humans.
Yeah. And that's,
we're bad news.
For all species, like every animal that we see alive today, it's because they have some kind of advantage. They have some ability to at least live to the point where they can breed. That's the goal of life. That's it for all living things. It's as soon as they have bred, then they won. They won the lottery. And that's all that it is. And whatever their traits that helped them get to that point are, is going to be passed on.
Let's just hope our future is not an idiocracy.
Yeah, agreed.
It's just a bunch of all the dumb people have kids now outweigh the smart people. 500 years later, our number one show is "Ow, my balls." Right. I don't want that.
Dude, love that movie.
Oh yeah, we got a good commercial break, Pat. If you're going to hang out with us, we're going to open up the phone lines to the audience. But yes, guys, we're going to commercial break. We're talking with our guest tonight, Pat Spain. He's the author of the On the Hunt book series. We're talking a lot about A Little Bigfoot, On the Hunt in Sumatra, or how I learned there are some things that really do not taste like chicken. I love these titles, Pat. You got more we should read tonight, your other books. But we'll get back with our guest, Pat Spain, and open up the phone lines after a short commercial break.
Conducting an experiment into the combined effects of sensory deprivation and hallucinatory drugs. The subject of the experiment is himself, and the experiment is out of control. Ken Russell's Altered States, a film that must not be missed, is in the West End now. Altered States, Certificate X.
Do you wish for more paranormal and spiritual content? The Paranormal Chronicles magazine is a free digital magazine crammed with the very best in paranormal and spiritual articles and features. No sign-up, no subscription, just free reading and knowledge for you. Read today at www.paranormalchronicles.com/magazine.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including Zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Paranation Magazine is a new paranormal magazine based out of Denver, Colorado. Our goal isn't just to give you the best paranormal content out there, but to promote paranormal unity. We're doing this by giving everyone an opportunity to tell their stories and to share their experiences. For more information, follow us on Facebook at Paranation Magazine and soon, paranationmag.com.
I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is the extraordinary travels of a young, alone, and broke psychic in the highly anticipated new book from internationally renowned psychic, medium, medical intuitive, and best-selling author Sherry Dillard. Critics have described I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like as an engrossing memoir, an empowering story of how a broken girl came to accept her psychic gift, a refreshing and fun read. I've Never Met a Dead Person I Didn't Like is available through Amazon, Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and wherever books are sold.
Wrote Spirits of the Dead with a pen dipped in warm blood. You will see the ultimate in terror with this important all-star cast. Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda in Edgar Allan Poe's Spirits of the Dead. Only Poe's demented genius could bring to the screen such horror and evil. Spirits of the Dead stars Brigitte Bardot, Alain Delon, Jane Fonda, Terence Stamp, and Peter Fonda. Directed by three masters of the cinema, Federico Fellini, Louis Malle, and Roger Vadim. Spirits of the Dead is an adventure in terror beyond your wildest nightmares. Spirits of the Dead in color is rated R.
So they're okay. So, does anybody want to play Parcheesi? Okay, who brought the dog?
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419 or by Skype caller ID OOJBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest is Pat Spain. He's the author of On the Hunt book series. We've been talking about his book that I read, A Little Bigfoot, On the Hunt in Sumatra, or How I Learned There Are Some Things That Really Do Not Taste Like Chicken. That's the whole title. I love it. I am opening up the phone lines now. If you want to call in, join the conversation tonight with our guest, Pat Spain. If you had a cryptid experience, have you seen something you think is Bigfoot or Dogman or whatever? Get Pat's take on it. He is a biologist. He's also a cryptozoologist. And you can get his take on your experience. Call in, join the conversation. If you have a question for our guests, please call in. The lines are now open. Let's go ahead and get back to our guest. All right. You there? Still there? Okay.
Yeah. How's it going?
Doing good. All right. So now, we're getting into the realm of Bigfoot, and I would like to get into something I know my 11-year-old and 7-year-old would want me to ask. Is their favorite thing is we did watch Meg, the Megalodon movie.
Oh, yeah.
You're a marine biologist. Do you think that's possible, that there's a Megalodon still out in the ocean?
No, I don't think so. I do think that there are a lot of there are at least a few large undiscovered creatures left to find in the ocean. I don't think any of them are megalodon, unfortunately, but I do think that there are shark species that we haven't found. But I don't think and if there are the deep, deep, deep sea, which is likely, they're probably smaller and would
Is
could
that due to
potentially
some
be
of the
really
oxygen
unusual.
levels? Oxygen levels like difference? Does that make a difference of what how like because there used to be these ginormous things like my son my 11-year-old is big into Jurassic Park and
Yeah.
loves dinosaurs and the Mosasaurus whatever like these
Yeah.
big things were in the ocean. I mean there are big things in the ocean now, but it seems like there's a lot more of it.
Yeah, so those things are actually like marine reptiles. So
Mhm.
Darren Naish, who I mentioned earlier, he has an amazing new book that just came out, all about or all about ancient marine reptiles. And one of the reasons why they were so huge is that it was just warmer. It was warmer then. So and there was more nutrients, and he would be able to explain it much better than I am. But we do see these really unusual things when you're talking about the deep oceans, and you see either gigantism or dwarfism. And it's really odd as to which species kind of go in which direction.
Yeah.
But and we have found a lot of the animals that have that have experienced that gigantism where they're still huge. I do think that we are still going to find new species of very large squid. I think that that's the thing that is still that are still down there that we will still be finding new ones of. I mean, the colossal squid was only found just a few years ago,
Yeah.
and we've only seen a couple living giant squid. And it would be, yeah, I would not be surprised at all to see some new, very unusual squid.
My 11-year-old had a fascination with sharks. Begged me to watch Jaws. This is years ago, before he was 11. And we had gone to the zoo, and we gone to the shark thing, and he wanted to stuff shark. He had just gotten it, so we got home, and he
Yeah.
begged me to watch Jaws, and I'm like, I was like, oh, I guess it's somewhat benign. It's a shark movie. It's Steven Spielberg. I forgot how bad the first minute was.
Yeah, it's rough.
And he saw that he runs his room, gets that little shark doll, comes out, throws it down. I hate sharks. I thought that was it with his shark fascination. No, we've watched so many shark movies since then. That kid he's still fascinated by sharks. And I know
They
that'd been
are
his
amazing.
question tonight. I had to ask about the megalodon. I don't know if I want to tell him no, it's not possible, kid. Pat
No,
Spain says it's
I
not.
wouldn't say it's not possible. I wouldn't say it's not. So
I know.
when we're talking about the deep oceans, like
Anything goes.
Yeah, and that's the whole thing. So the book that I wrote on sea serpents, that's really the entire focus of the book, is that it's just to show how weird and amazing the deep oceans are. And how really, when you start talking about that, nobody knows what they're talking about.
Yeah.
Nobody can say definitively that there is any, like, we just can't give an answer because we know so little about it. And every time that we have an expedition down there, we're finding new things. New and bizarre and crazy things. So there's nothing that is out of the realm of possibilities when we're talking about the deep ocean.
I mean, you went down in a sub.
I did. I went 1,000 feet down in a 3-man sub, which was the coolest thing I'd ever done.
I would actually. I have this weird thing. I have like this total deep fear of deep body water, like of drowning and the whole thing. I have this whole weird like fear of it.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I love boats, and I would totally go in a sub. Why?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, human minds. I have my irrational fear is radiation. Even
I don't know if that's irrational.
Well,
we don't live in Minnesota.
I used to work in a lab, and we had a hot lab as a part of it that we used very benign radiation in it. I hated it. I hated even going in there. You had to wear a badge. You get more radiation going on a plane than you did going in this room. I would stupidly hold my breath when I went in there. Like, that's going to help at all. Right, exactly. So that's my irrational fear is radiation. So I get it. Everyone's got some.
Can I ask you
That's a
something?
bad one to have nowadays and age.
Yeah.
Go ahead,
Do
Jamie.
you use a microwave? Do you microwave your food at all?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not that irrational.
It's not that. It's not
Well, I
that
was
irrational.
wondering about that the other day because I'm
I
very
mean, you got a cell phone.
emotional about these things too, and it's one of my worries: radio waves and radiation and things. But I was thinking about the microwaves. What that
Yeah,
could be doing to us.
Mine is more just just the fact that you can't see it, that you're not going to feel it, you're not.
Well,
Gonna
my
have,
wife's freaking out right now because of that nuclear power plant deal, and I was in Minnesota.
Yeah.
In the groundwater. My wife's like we're gonna have to pot all the plants. I'm like, honey, it's in the groundwater, and I don't care. Like she's ready to flip out on this. Like she started a garden last year. Now she's talking about not even putting it in the soil. I'm like, it's in Minnesota. Oh my god. Like it.
I forget who made them, but there was a series of dishes that were really popular in the 50s that turned out to be radioactive.
Yeah,
we found some of them in my grandparents' basement.
No way.
Yeah.
Is that the green glass?
I can't. I honestly.
I
Can't
remember.
They have
something
some
about
of those
this, yeah.
candy bowls.
Oh,
well, they used to have that problem with the people in the watch factories because they put the glow in the dark stuff on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm like, oh, why am I getting sick?
Yeah.
Hmm.
These ones could actually be picked up by a Geiger counter. These ones that were like super popular in the 50s. And yeah, we found some of them and I was like, I'm not touching them. I don't want to know about this.
But it goes to show though, back then, I mean, we're playing with mercury in our hands. Radiation's not going to kill you, kid.
Right. Yeah,
You know?
my mom said that they used to, in science class, they'd walk around and dump a little bit of mercury and the kids would just, ooh, yeah, that's fun. That's cool.
And that is my point. When people say science is settled, no, it's never not settled. We should still ask questions.
I used to mow the lawn for this guy. His name was Luddy. He was 93 years old. He was amazing, just this great guy. And he had all these really cool stories about everything. But I cut myself on his lawnmower one time. I got something wedged under there, and I got like a pretty good gash on my hand. He's like, oh, I got something for that. And he goes into his shed and pulls out a thing of mercurochrome.
Oh, dear.
I was like, yeah, no, I don't need that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. I'll just deal with this bleeding for a little while.
Well, nobody told him, I guess.
Yeah. This will take care of it. I'm like, oh, I'm sure it will.
Yeah, it will.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it'll take care of a lot of things. Oh my god. But that's the point though, is science is never settled.
Yeah.
I'm saying that we're doing things that we don't know for sure might not harm us down the long run. I love the movie Thank You for Not Smoking. I know I used to be a smoker, now I'm a vapor, I'm just as bad. But at the end of the movie, he goes from being a lobbyist for the smoking industry to the cell phone company. He's I need you guys to repeat for me. Cell phones do not cause start repeating that now for me.
Yeah.
We don't know these things around us, what they're doing. So your irrational fear of radiation is not irrational to me, because we are, in a sense, starting to irradiate ourselves more and more on the electromagnetic spectrum. It concerns me how it is going to affect us as biologically, years of exposure to this, how it's going to change us.
Yeah, well, so the repeated exposure of anything, that's one of the things in that is just, you never know until you have the evidence, until you have, so once we have decades of evidence of this, then we might realize that there was something bad. But yeah, I mean, we can make the best predictions in the world. You can, put together models, better now than we have ever been able to. But yeah, without the true real world experience, it's hard to ever say.
We're all guinea
the effects
pigs.
of something. Yeah. Yeah, but always have been. All of life is.
I mean, they put cocaine in Coca-Cola. I mean,
right.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, every food, how did we figure out what you can and can't eat? There's
Right.
that great meme about mushrooms, and it was like, who tested
Right.
these mushrooms? Who, so this one tastes like beef. This one's complete, this one will kill you instantly. This one
And
makes
this one's going to get
God.
you high.
Have you ever seen how a lot of the food will represent the body part that it benefits? Like grapes looks like a bunch of grapes looks like your heart. When you cut a carrot, it looks like your eye. Means every body part has a food that goes with it.
I've heard that, yeah, and people say like walnuts look like a brain.
Yeah.
And that's-
Yeah,
so-
you're right. It's almost like somebody genetically coded these things. I don't know. I'm a Ridley Scott fan. I don't know if you ever saw Prometheus.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I'm saying, that's always got me thinking. And he got some flack for that movie, but Jamie has a great point there. I think there is some kind of. I mean, you're a biologist. Do you see, like she's saying, evidence of some kind of? I'm not talking about God here. I'm talking about some great design here by genetic programmers. The life itself.
I see more. We look at the ones that we look at the examples that show the case that we're making, not taking the entire picture into account. So I don't see that as being, I see them as fun and I see them as being compelling and being interesting, but I don't see it really as a truism out there.
Right.
I don't see evidence of any type of design or any type of kind of interconnection or anything like that.
Well, I find biology and the way animals adapt and change.
But that's it. Adapt and change. Absolutely.
Well, that's
yeah.
but it's the Prometheus has this idea of like this one thing of life, this goo, whatever it is, changing, adapting to its the immediate situation of its forming of life, becoming either in a xenomorph or something crawls out of your stomach to other life, us and everything else.
Oh, but that is DNA. I mean, you look at every piece of life is in some way related to every other instance of life, and where that initial RNA or DNA kind of sprouted from. There's people who have the panspermia theory where it came from some kind of comet, and sure, I mean that's plausible. There's been a whole bunch of experiments where they've tried to replicate the initial primordial ooze and shown that you do end up getting amino acids, and could those amino acids over millions of years combine together to form a self-replicating
We just can't do them a million years to wait and watch.
They could. I mean, so it is that possibility that is how it gets started. But then once you've got that self-replicating and Darwinism kicks in right then, and that's it, and it just sprouts off and forms all of the amazing forms of life that we see today.
And Darwinism could give us a movie future like Idiocracy.
Unfortunately could.
Because the humans screw up Darwinism. The weakest are surviving.
Or I think it was Discovery a few years ago when they did all like the future animals, and they had squid that were swinging through the trees.
I remember that.
I loved that.
Really?
Because it could go in so many different directions.
Squid swinging through trees, really?
Hey, I mean, who knows? A couple million years? They're very smart. Squid are very, very smart.
A lot of people say, well, why don't we see evolution happening right now?
We do.
I know, but that's the argument. Why don't we see monkeys out there using keyboards? Building fires, man. They're not evolved. I didn't come from no monkey.
There are a lot of misunderstandings about what evolution is and how it works.
To me, I'm one of those people. I think evolution is a piece of the puzzle. I don't think it's the whole answer. There's big missing pieces to it that we don't understand yet.
I mean, I think that there's once you start talking physics and start talking the Big Bang and like I am.
But I'm just talking about life and development and human evolution on this planet. I think there's still missing parts. There's missing pieces that we don't understand how or why these happen. And consciousness, that's a huge one. I mean, we're creating our own consciousnesses right now with AI.
Right.
I was talking about that on the show and how scary that could be. We want to use computers that are half biological. They are putting mice mini brains, cells from mice, and making a computer out of their brain. I predicted, didn't I talk about this years ago, Jamie, when I started this show, that they were going to do this?
They're communicating
here they are.
Clumps of brain cells too. They have like clumps of brain cells that they're able to communicate with that might start to be able to run computers and do different things.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Have you read Homo Deus?
Mm-mm.
So I highly, highly recommend it. It's he basically breaks everything down into. So it's this great kind of futurist author, and he talks about that, and he talks about like where we are going and where the humans are going to, and just talks about the algorithms and how essentially all life can be broken down into algorithms, and how we're starting to do that now. And are we truly making decisions, or are these just algorithms that we're following? And if you had a complex enough algorithm, could you actually predict what someone would do? And it's a really cool book. It's and he talks. I mean, it's pretty great. Yeah, and he goes all the way back to when we first started farming, and how that changed the course of human existence, probably not for the better, which was an interesting take on it. So yeah, Homo Deus, I highly recommend.
Yeah, agriculture definitely changed the world. I mean, that's for sure. It changed humans completely, And then we can't be, instead of being nomads and wandering, following for prey, food sources, now we stay in one spot, till the land, pollute the land. Over-harvest the land, destroy the land, cut down all the trees. Yeah, I get that. But if we hadn't, or we just kept on being nomads and wanderers like that, I don't think we would have developed into anything beyond that.
No, we definitely wouldn't have the societies that we do.
Yeah.
But yeah, at what cost?
Yeah, we'd be all
For us
peaceful.
and everything.
They'd probably be all great.
Well, and
Not
that's
like
another.
now.
That was another book that I love, Galapagos by.
Oh, I've not read it, but I know what you're talking
Vonnegut.
about.
By
Yeah,
Vonnegut.
Vonnegut,
Yeah.
Kurt Vonnegut. I actually, that's one of his few I have not read. I should.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, I won't give away the ending, but he goes into that about how
Vonnegut's he's such
which
an
is
awesome
better.
writer.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would totally. That's what I like about your writing, though, too. Yours kind of
thank
gives me that little bit of Kurt Vonnegut feeling. You know?
I'm very, very flattered. I've never been.
It's either that or
Vonnegut,
it's that or it's a little gonzo journalism like Hunter S. Thompson, just without the drugs, just with dangerous animals.
that I like. Yeah, that I can see. I mean,
Which I always
love
loved that.
Vonnegut in any way, but yeah, you got to have some fun with it. And you got to have the kind of humor and the irrelevance. All of my subtitles are a little homage to what's it called? How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love the Bomb. It's all.
I love the titles of your books. People haven't even said it. So we have the bulletproof sloth. Or ground sloth on the hunt in Brazil, or how I lost my mind, was dyed blue, and actually learned how to smuggle weapons. That's
I've been
one.
putting the Amazon links up on both the channels while you've been talking.
No, these get better. Sea
All true
serpents
stories.
on the hunt in British Columbia, or how I went to the bottom of the ocean and a giant fish accidentally got me drunk. Okay. Oh, what else? 200,000 snakes. Oh dear God, dude. On the hunt in Manitoba, or how I found a new beginning at the bottom of a giant pit of snakes. New underwear is what I would need.
Fascinating.
The Mongolian death worm. Yeah. On the hunt in the Gobi Desert, or how I found the worst bathrooms on earth and learned to love cheese-flavored vodka. What the?
Yeah, we made our own vodka from mare's milk and goat's milk. And it was it tasted like hot Parmesan cheese. Which sounds disgusting, but when it's getting you really drunk, it was great.
Did it
And then
smell
if you
like
add
goat
it-
cheese?
It
I
really
don't want to
smelled
know
like
what that
cheese.
smells like after
Yeah.
somebody pukes that up.
And one of our guides tells me he gets really excited. He's like, "Oh, we're gonna have mare's milk. It's amazing, you know." And there's a game that we can play with it. And I was like, "Oh yeah, drinking game. Let's talk about this." He's like, "So you draw a line in your tent, and then everyone stands behind it. And when you throw up, you have to throw up past the line."
When you throw up, not an if.
Right.
When.
And I was like,
Now
"And
it's your
what
key."
if you don't make it past the line? Then you lose." I was like, "It sounds like everyone loses. This is not."
Yeah, this sounds like a game where everybody lost. Everybody loses. When you said that when you throw up.
Yeah, we had one woman in the crew with us, and she goes, "That sounds like a terrible game." And he goes, "Well, women don't play it." She's like, "Obviously."
So the milk fermentates, or how does that work?
Yeah, fermented mare's milk. It's got mare's milk has a low alcohol. It's like a little bit less than a beer, like maybe a 2%. But then you take it and concentrate it. So we built a Chinese still, and we distilled it and kind of kept on concentrating. It did a few rounds of that, and then you end up with vodka.
Wow.
You know, I've always said do not mix like milk or creams with alcohol.
Here
I've always said don't do it.
From milk.
And this is actually milk. This is like the worst possible thing you could drink, probably, if you don't want to puke.
There's a gin called Bertha's Revenge that's made from milk. That's actually
Is that
really
from
good.
The Stand? Not The Stand, Stand By Me? Is that what's the name of the which makes people puke? Is that what's the name? No, it wasn't Bertha. It was some guy. Yeah.
But Bertha's Revenge is a really good gin. It's really, but this vodka was not. I mean, I enjoyed it, but I don't think there'd be a big market for it.
Because there's something wrong with you, obviously.
Yeah.
If you enjoyed it, I can almost smell it from the description. I would know. Nope.
And it was this like wonderful night where we're all in this like it's a yurt. They called it a gur, and we're all gathered around, and we're making this vodka, and we're drinking, we're eating this the goat that's freshly out of the pot and everything, and you just grab a big handful of like goat meat with bones in it and everything. You're kind of gnawing on it. It's very primal and really fun. And every time that the cup comes to you, this hot cup of vodka, you do this little ritual where you flick it. It's giving respect to all the four corners and to your ancestors. And then you have to sing a song. And the first song I sang was a Dropkick Murphys song from Boston. It's kind of a rule that you have to do that. And by the end of it, it just got so over the top. Like we were singing these like old sailors tunes and just like body shows.
It's like the scene of Jaws when they start singing.
It's rough.
Oh, we'll go home. Yeah. And you're out in the middle of where was that one at?
Desert.
In the Gobi Desert
in Mongolia. Yeah, and then I tried to chase a camel spider drunkenly through the desert. And
See, I don't have a problem with spiders, but
did you get it?
I didn't. No, I'm lucky that I didn't die.
Those things remind me of the face huggers from Aliens, and that would freak me out.
They're
Spiders don't bother me,
harmless,
but those,
though.
that's what I've been told.
Spider?
The camel spider, a solifugid. I've only seen it written. I've never heard someone pronounce the word.
Yeah,
but
I ain't gonna get it. I butcher everything like that.
They're really cool. They're very neat animals. I have caught one. They look a lot scarier than they are.
How do they like? But they're not. They wouldn't bite you, right? I've been told, right?
They could. They're just
Is it like a tarantula?
It's
no,
big,
so
bigger.
they're like a long tarantula with these like huge pointed fangs in the front. But they're related to tarantulas. They're an arachnid.
Yeah, it kind of reminds me of a tarantula a little bit.
There was all these stories of them from the first Gulf War where people were coming back saying that there were ones like the size of dogs that were killing people at night, and they can drain a camel of its blood. None of it is true. But they do
probably
look
stuff
pretty
the locals were telling the soldiers to screw with them.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Because they knew they were going to wake up with one of these things in their tent, and they couldn't wait to hear their screams.
I woke up one morning down in Florida when I was camping, and I just kind of like stretching, and a huge black widow just climbed right out of my pillowcase. I was like, good to know. Glad.
Remember I told you about my friend who got stuck on the stalactite thing? We're in Kentucky Red River Gorge spelunking. When he finally got out of that hole, waiting right where his hand was this huge. I'm not a bug person, but this spider is like this big, brown and hairy. Right where his hand is, he's like, I'm gonna piss myself. Like don't, because I'm right under you, asshole. Like just go over that way. He was like, no, we gotta go back down. I'm like, dude, it took an hour to get you up here. Should have been a 5-minute climb.
Whenever I'm camping, wherever we are, if I have the opportunity to stay in, any of these kind of remote villages or anything, I would always try to pick the place that had the most spiders, because they're going to eat all the bad bugs. Like
True.
Spiders,
that's what I always say about
spiders.
Yes. Like my wife, like we got new windows. We spent $5,000 on new windows here because you'd hear the crickets on my show. Like there's that's not what you want to hear on your show is crickets, right? No, but I had crickets because like we had old windows and they're getting in. She's like, see, and now no more spiders because she can't stand spiders. And I'm like, I like the spiders. They ate the crickets. They were great.
My daughter wants to be an entomologist.
Oh, that's awesome. How old is she?
Yeah, so she's 8.
Oh,
so she and I are just all about. We raise all kinds of different bugs, and we catch spiders outside and bring them and let them go in the house.
My wife would kill you.
I understand that. I mean, my wife is very understanding of this stuff.
Obviously. But yeah, hey, honey, I'm going to go to Sumatra and hunt a little Bigfoot and get molested by an orangutan. I'll see you in a couple weeks. Okay, honey.
When I came back from Sumatra, she said she's never smelled anything as bad as me and my luggage.
Oh, yeah.
We were soaking wet.
Oh, yeah, you're wet the whole time.
I lost a layer of skin off my body. I lost a couple layers of skin off my feet. I got trench foot. I mean, it was...
Oh, that's why you smelled.
Oh, it was revolting. Like, actually nauseating.
How'd you get rid of that? Like, what did you do?
I had to wear flip-flops for, like, a month.
Oh, my God.
And just I had to let everything air out. I had to put lotion like a...
Like, promise you I'm not a yuppie. I'm not a yuppie. I'm wearing these flip-flops for medical purposes, please.
I just feel bad for everyone I had to sit next to on a plane from any of these shoots.
Oh my God.
Coming back from West Africa, we were flying out of Cameroon. So we get into a rural Cameroonian airport and waiting in line. And this guy from the airline comes out and he looks like he drew the short end of the straw. He drew the short straw. Like he comes out and he has to be the one. He's like, He goes, "Sir, I'm very, very sorry to tell you this." And I was like, "That's all right, man. I've been in the jungle for 2 weeks. Like, whatever you have to say isn't going to be as bad as anything that's happened." And he's like, "No, I'm very embarrassed. I'm really sorry." I'm like, "Did I miss my flight? What's?" He goes, "You're too dirty to fly."
Oh no.
I was like, "Oh, that's great." What can I do? And I was like, "What?" And so I'm laughing, and then he starts laughing, and I was like, "Well, what can I do? What do you need?" He goes, "I need you to change." And I open up my bag, and he goes, "None of that's gonna work." I was like, "Yeah, that's
it's been in the
situation, I think."
rainforest. Yeah.
So he was like, "All right, hang on." So he comes over and grabs me a towel, and he was like, "You have to take off all your clothes." So I stripped down to my boxers. This is in the middle of the airport. So I stripped down to my boxers, and I wipe this towel, and the towel just turns orange from all the clay, all the dirt roads that we've been on. And he's like, "Eh." And someone throws me a Cameroon soccer jersey, and he was like, "All right, you're good."
It works. Oh my god. I would be. I'm more scared of people though than of wildlife. And you're going to these different countries, and you talk about this with like you have to have a guide.
Oh yeah.
And these
we have
guides are
fixers.
pretty
Fixers
interesting. Your
everywhere.
life is in their hands in these countries.
Every fixer I've ever met is just the most interesting, fun person that you can imagine. It's like a prerequisite for the job, and you have to immediately trust them. Even the fixers that are ripping you off.
But how do you trust them? They seem like they seem so shady.
Oh, they are, but in the best, they're shady for you.
Yeah.
They're shady because the production company that I work for, they have, contacts all over the world, and they only work with people that somebody knows, that somebody can vouch for. So it's some of the things like, well, this person, they are absolutely going to rip you off, but you will be completely safe. And it's like, all right, I can deal with that. Or, like
you can take my money, just keep me alive. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, this person will screw with you beyond belief, but you will be safe. And that was one of our guides in Mongolia. So our fixer there was this. He was hysterical. He was a great guy. And when he's talking about the mare's milk, one of the guys in the car kind of misunderstood him, and he goes, "Horse's milk? Like we're gonna?" He goes, "No. If you're drinking horse's milk, you're drinking semen." He goes, "We can get this for you." And everyone just stopped and paused, and it was like, "What?" And he goes, yeah, this is like a popular thing, and if you want to really live like the locals.
Oh, you into semen? You into semen? I get that for you.
Really had us going for about 5 minutes with this, thinking that we were going to have to do this in order to not because you have.
Oh, it must be so much fun for them.
And then he just starts laughing hysterically. He's like, no, of course we don't do this. Like, oh my god.
He would have watched you drink it.
Oh, 100%.
He would have watched you drink the semen.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
but I think you saw in your faces that was not going to happen.
But that's the thing. Like, sometimes they're like one of the guiding principles for all of this is that I will put myself into a terrible, awful situation to not offend, or I never want to do a dual episode of Locked Up Abroad. And
have you been locked up abroad?
I have come very close.
That's what would scare me.
Oh yeah,
like Cambodia. I mean,
Yeah, Sumatra. It got kind of dicey a couple times, and in the Congo, it got real dicey. I had someone come out who, they actually like grabbed my arms and were starting to lead me off to prison. But then the way that I got out of it is I didn't speak French. And the guy's like, no French? No. And I was like, no, I'm really sorry. I'm terrible at languages. My wife is Vietnamese and I can't even speak. And I'm just like just rambling. And he goes, you speak English? And I go, yeah. He goes, English is the language of Barack Obama. It's a good language. And I was like, I voted for him. And I showed him a picture on my phone.
Barack, I swear.
And he goes, you're the reason Barack Obama is president? I was like, yes, I am.
Yep, that'd be me. That'd be me. Right?
He was like, oh, then we were best friends. Then it was like he wasn't going to throw me in jail. Everything was good.
Wow, Barack Obama saved your life.
Absolutely, yeah.
Other parts of the world that might not work out for you.
Yeah, I mean, in
parts that he droned, don't go
in
there.
The Congo, it was great.
Congo's good. You didn't drone people there. You're good. Don't go over to anywhere in Africa or don't use that there.
But
it worked.
It worked there. Yeah. But all the fixers are great. They're just some of the most fun people, and you really do so we knew they had a personal connection in some way, so that we could trust them. but your life really is in their hand. I mean, there's a lot of dicey situations. There's a lot of times you are going to make faux pas. You are going to do something, I try to never be the ugly American. I try to, whatever someone is serving, I will eat it with gusto. I will be really excited.
I would be the
this.
ugly American. I'll admit it right now. I'd like Indiana Jones when they're pulling out the monkey's heads with the brains. I'd be like Short Round, like, what you talking? I'm not eating this, I couldn't be. I love Indiana Jones. Wanted to totally be like him, but I couldn't deal with the snakes, and I definitely could not eat that stuff.
Yeah. No. I mean, I get it. I do, and that's like meat. Really, all meat kind of tastes pretty similar. The weirdest foods and the weirdest things.
But
that
some
you can
things
get
don't
are
taste like
fruits and
chicken.
vegetables. Some things do not. That's cat. Cat does not taste like chicken.
Does
no
not
matter what
taste like
people tell
chicken.
you. Yeah, no, it doesn't.
No, it does not. So you ate cat?
Yeah, and I have pet cats. I didn't do it knowingly.
Right? Yeah.
It was served to us and said that it was chicken, but that was a.
You're like, this don't taste like chicken.
Yeah, it was a translation error.
Oh my god. Oh no, poor cats. Yeah, I have a cat. I'd cry.
Yeah, I've had cats my whole life, and now I've eaten them too. And
oh no. It's like, they do. I know, like in China, a lot of the younger people are much more like, we shouldn't eat dogs. Like, and the older generations are like, no, it's dog feast time. You're cooking up the dog.
Yeah,
I mean, so there's some change to that in that culture, but part of the older culture is like, no, it's totally fine to eat a dog.
Yeah, and I mean, dogs aren't any smarter than a pig, and we think nothing of eating pigs. So, and like people have pet pigs, and people really form bonds.
My wife wants a pet pig. I'm like, I call that bacon.
Supposed to be great. Yeah,
They're like
that's
little
exactly
dogs.
it. Like it really is just a cultural difference, and that was what
it
I
is.
kind of
It's
told
like
myself
we eat
with all of
cows.
this was,
in India, they definitely don't eat cows.
No, I've been to India twice. Yeah, and I mean, they'd be absolutely horrified, and we think nothing of this at all. So it's, yeah, I just kind of told myself that it's a cultural difference, and it's not my cat. So
it was a foreign cat. It's a foreign cat, not an American cat.
Well, I mean, it's not a cat that was raised as a pet.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference. Like, you'd feel bad eating a pig that was raised as a pet also, or some people would. I was vegetarian for a very, very long time.
Obviously not.
Not anymore.
I'm eating cat. You've gone way past the road of vegetarian, my friend.
Yeah, I
way
opened the
past
door
that
wider
road
than most.
Well, when you have to go to another country, they could save you. Like, I don't eat meat. I'm not trying to offend. I just don't eat meat.
Well, people. So one of our camera guys was a vegetarian, and people treated it like it was a disease. They'd be like, "Oh no, I'm so sorry." That's awful.
It's a disease. You can't eat meat, though, you poor soul.
But just like, oh no, like, what are we gonna do? How is this? And they were like, well, chicken? He's like, no chicken. They're like, oh, we'll get you fish. Okay, we'll get you fish. He's like,
cat.
Sure, I guess.
Do the fish. Just do the
but
fish.
I found that when I was in Mississippi, people treated it very similar. I was vegetarian when I was down in Mississippi, and it was looked at the same way. Like, oh, I'm so sorry. That must be terrible.
Bless your heart.
Yeah.
I was vegetarian in Mexico, but we thought we'd get some tacos. I thought, okay, I'm gonna get some tacos. Well, the meat
got tacos from this van down by the river.
And I realized, because we drove all up and down the coast of Mexico, I saw no cows anywhere. Dogs everywhere. Dogs.
So where did this meat come from?
The meat in the taco, and it's kind of great. I'm like, this doesn't look like any color meat I've ever seen. So I just ate chips and salsa basically the rest of the 3 days.
Yeah, I mean, I'd go for it.
Obviously.
Grasshopper. There's a really good grasshopper taco too, that you can get. That's very, very tasty. And I know
where was that at?
Good. I forget which parts of Mexico it's a delicacy in, but I know along the coast.
I know grasshoppers are in certain cultures, like they like eat them different ways.
Oh, they're great.
I don't think I'd be opposed to a bug.
No.
Like, see, bugs don't freak me out. I don't know. I would eat a bug. I would eat a bug. Now, I'm not all for this whole, like, we got to get rid of meat and we're going to have to switch to a new protein. Bugs, people. No, I'm not up for that. If I had to survive, like out in the forest, yes, I'll eat a bug. You know what I'm saying?
South America, guinea pig is a huge source of protein, and they take up a lot less resources than cow, and they taste pretty good. Guinea pig's pretty tasty.
There you go. Next, let's go start a guinea pig. Hot guinea pig.
Well,
guinea pig burgers.
Telling people to start fishing bullfrogs.
Now, does guinea pig taste like chicken or
Source of,
beef?
protein.
Oh yeah, bullfrog. I mean, frog legs are good.
Well, my mom did that to me when I was a little
frog
kid. She
legs?
did that to me. She had me at a restaurant, and I said I wanted, whatever chicken wings. They didn't have that. They had frog legs, so she got that for me and let me eat those.
It does not taste
Thanks,
like
Mom.
chicken. But
She told me it was
tastes pretty
chicken.
good.
I believed it was chicken, but
Yeah. We told my
I don't
grandfather
remember.
calamari were onion rings at one point too, and he ate them and didn't complain. So,
No, I love calamari though. So
yeah, but I think when you're expecting something and it's fried, you can kind you can anything. I mean, Rocky
you can
Mountain
fry a
oysters.
turd and probably taste good.
Yeah. Have you ever
Fried
had
is
Rocky
great.
Mountain oysters?
Oh, when we
No.
had the roundups, we would trick. I mean, we'd tell them, "You want a Rocky Mountain oyster?" Guys that didn't know any, but they're eating them. Oh, these are the best thing ever. Can I get another one? They're like,
They
"What
are
are these?"
tasty.
Like, cow balls.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
But
at
they
a
are
place in
tasty.
New Hampshire had
I didn't
those,
try
and
'em.
I just like, you know what? I'm not going to do the Rocky Mountain oyster, but I am going to try. I had a bison.
Yeah, bison's
a bison burger. And I'm like, bit gamey, but this is pretty good. I could go for some more bison.
Yeah. See, goat is my favorite meat. So I
Goat?
like gamey. Yeah, I love goat.
Yeah.
But I like that gamey kind of flavor. Like that's, just kind of enhanced and yeah. But meat's kind of
processed.
just meat. Like it really, even the really exotic, like strange ones, it's basically like does it taste like reptile? Does it taste like fish? Does it taste like poultry, beef or pork? And that's
I just
kind
thought
of
of something to change topic a little bit because you are in the marine is your kind of specialty. Have you seen the latest stories about orcas like attacking sharks for their
And
livers?
they're sucking the livers out of their shoulders.
Yeah, well,
it's
what is
pretty
that
wild.
about?
I'm honestly not sure. I saw, like, I haven't gotten to really read it too deep, but I know that it's pretty efficient. I think that's just where a lot of the vitamins that they're looking for,
So I was
a lot of the
wondering-
nutrients are from a lot of animals will do that. So when you'll see, if you're driving out west and you see the dead hares or rabbits on the road, a lot of times the ravens or crows will have just eaten out the liver. They'll kind of go through and just eat out the liver and leave the rest of the body there because that's where they're going to get that's kind of the most bang for their buck. Yeah.
Little Hannibal Lecter animals.
There was always one spot that the barn cat would take out of the mice.
Yeah.
But what makes you wonder, because it make it sound like it's a newer phenomenon. Like, is there something missing from the orca's diet now that we've killed, probably in our oceans, that they're having to do this to sharks?
So orcas are also they're a teaching species. Like they're one of the few species that really do kind of teach their young, and they'll actually share information among pods. So it could be something that I'm just theorizing here. Like, it could be something that one of them learned and then has taught the other ones, and now we're noticing that more.
Dude, have you had some shark liver? I've had
Yeah.
some shark liver. You
It
need to
is
have some shark liver.
delicious.
It's
You gotta try
delicious.
this.
And one orca to the next. And here we are.
Yeah.
But
Yes.
I worry about our oceans and how much how much crap we put them in, polluting them, and the radio. You talk about like Fukushima. I mean, we're literally dumping radioactive waste into the ocean.
And the microplastics, just the
and then
sheer
the
volume.
plastics. Oh my God, yes.
One of my good friends is a working marine biologist, and I asked him, I forget how many years ago now, but I was like, what can we actually do? Like, what are there certain fish that I should be avoiding? Are there certain things?
Right.
And he goes, we should move 5 miles inland and not touch the ocean for the next 10 years. And he goes, barring that, not much.
Well, you know what the
that's
sickening
depressing.
thing is? It's been exposed in our country that some local governments and that were saying, yeah, we're taking your recycling, your plastic, and recycling it, and all they were doing is selling it to a company in China that took it and then dumped it in the ocean.
Yeah, or we weren't actually even doing anything with it at all.
Or that
and a lot of the local municipalities where we thought it was being recycled, they were actually just dumping it in landfills.
Yeah, yeah. Like I said, they either dump it in the landfill, oh yeah, it's recycled, or they sold it to this company that goes and dumps it in the ocean. That's
In
exactly
another
what we told you not to do with it. I didn't
Yeah.
separate my plastics from my garbage for you to go dump it in the ocean.
Yeah, and I've always heard American recycling is very aspirational. Like we tend to put a ton of stuff in our recycling bins that actually can't be recycled.
Yeah.
And because we're doing that, we're contaminating what could have been recycled. So we're actually recycling far less because we're putting a ton of stuff in there. Like because we feel bad. Like you feel you feel bad putting something in the garbage, so you put it in the recycle, and then this magical thinking just says, oh, now it's okay, now everything's fine, right? But you're actually it's actually making it worse.
Yeah.
So, and that was a big wake up call for me. A lot of the things I realized that I was putting in there hoping that they could be recycled probably can't, and I'm probably making it worse.
Well, a lot of times they give you the list and they'll tell you exactly what they'll take.
We do. We have one in our city. Yeah, my wife is very adherent to it. Like, don't put that in the recycling.
Yeah. No, and that's good, but most I guess most Americans are not following that.
No, they're like this. Oh my phone. What? Well, there's some letter that came in my mail. I don't read my mail, man.
Yeah.
Idiocracy. Here it comes.
Here it is.
We're gonna live in a big pile of garbage dumps.
Pretty much.
It was like what it was. Literally, we're living. They're like literally had a garbage dump fall into the dude's apartment, and he just
with an
watching
entire
all my
wall
all
of
my
TV
balls.
and-
That's my fear. And we're gonna, Bigfoot's gonna if Bigfoot's around or Littlefoot or any of these creatures in the ocean. I mean, their times are up. Our time is probably up, if we keep going at it the way we are. And I'm not one of those big, like, Greta Thunberg's, how dare you, people, I'm not, I think there's a lot of bull crap in the whole global warming, climate change,
The whole thing.
political stuff that gets in there, that gets in the way of actual real talk and solutions. Because we do have a problem. We do.
There definitely is. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it. I was in all the countries that I've been in when it's supposed to be the dry season and it isn't anymore. There are changes to the rivers. There are, the fish that people relied upon aren't there anymore.
I'm saying is that the solutions that are presented are all political bull crap.
And I think that there needs to be some kind of way to cut through that. And speaking of, of Greta Thunberg, I got the new book. And I could only make it through a couple chapters before I was like, I'll come back to this. I can't. How
dare you?
And I'm
How
very.
dare you, Patrick?
I really want to know more about this, but it's really disheartening. And I mean, I have a huge amount of respect for her, and I do think that she's amazing. And I think that everyone who's trying to do something, it's very hard to cut through it though, and to see what you can actually do.
Yeah, that's the problem is we get bureaucrats and politicians in charge, and they come up with the pseudo ways that really just help a corporation. And it doesn't do anything to help a virus. It just gives them woke checkpoints and climate change checkpoints, and they're like, we're good.
Yeah.
We got our carbon footprint covered. Don't worry about that. We're just going to pass that on to you people.
Yeah.
And nothing gets changed or done. I mean, even electric cars are pissing me off because we're harming the environment to try to produce the batteries. I mean, we're not coming up with real solutions, people. That's the problem.
Yeah.
And we can't just cut off gasoline and oil like that because then people starve and die.
Yeah.
We got to be realistic and talk about things. But that's my thing is like if there's these creatures, like you say, we might have just missed the little Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Orangutan probably was there. And then, human encroachment and pollution and everything else just drove this thing to its final point.
We are losing so many species. Yeah, we're in the middle of another mass extinction.
Yeah.
Right now, and the amphibians. I mean, they're saying that when in 20 years we'll have lost, I forget what percentage of the amphibian species in the world. between climate change and the chytrid fungus, it's really.
Ooh, fungus is
yeah.
Like
Last of Us. That's right.
My kids. Okay, I'm a horrible parent, but they begged me to. My 11-year-old played this game, and he begged me to watch that show. Like,
it's a good one.
He played the game. I'm like, he's already played the game. And literally the show is pretty much the game.
Yeah.
It was really good. My wife liked it. But man, fungus now scares the crap. I never liked mushrooms. I don't like eating fungus. But now now I have to add things to my list of paranoid items. Fungus scares the crap out of me.
Well, that zombie fungus that it's based on is really, really fascinating.
It is. It really is.
When you see the insects climb up the tree and then it sprout out their heads.
Right out the head, yeah.
Well, I had to make this point before the show, before I even knew about this game years ago. Or it was last year. No, I had to make this. Well, it was before I even knew what the game was. It was last year. We went to Florida, and on the way down there, we were seeing these big billboards like "Return to Jesus Christ! The zombie apocalypse is coming." That's literally these big billboards in Florida. They like show zombies on it, and like it's about Jesus or some church. Spent a lot of money on these zombies apocalyptic poster signs, and I couldn't believe it. Like, is this a joke? Is this real? And I remember telling this to my mother-in-law, and she's like, I don't know how people could believe that zombies could be real. I go, well, And then I explain her about the zombie ant, and then once again, I'm the weird son-in-law.
Yeah,
You know, like, okay,
I play that role a lot.
bless your heart. You know, like, you know, sorry, yes, I'm the weird son-in-law that knows about zombie ants. But I'm just making a point.
I almost did this episode. We were trying to do this episode on. We were talking about zombies and talking about mummies and stuff, and we started talking about cats. And you know, you have a cat. I said I have cats.
Oh.
There is this theory that a toxoplasmosis from cats, that we get micro exposures to this toxoplasmosis from cats by changing their litter.
That's
and
what I'm
actually,
afraid of.
it
I feel like you're going into the Kenny South Park episode when he starts tripping on heavy metal.
So this whole thing with cats, it's really, really interesting when you start reading it, because they think that this has evolved where it actually makes their prey species less afraid of them. And they've done these studies where mice and rats and other prey species will just stop being afraid of cats and walk right out in front of them and let them eat them. Just let them eat them from being exposed to this. And they think that with people, it actually makes us like cats more. So the more that you're exposed to this, the more that
I've
you
always said,
actually like
and I
cats.
love my cats, and I know you're a cat lady. I know. Sorry to call you cat lady, but you know it's true. Your cats are your world. You love your
they're
babies.
awesome.
They are her babies. She loves her cats. I love my cat too.
Yeah.
But I've always said about cats is when you look at, it's not like a dog. When a dog
They
looks at you,
do
he's like,
have souls, Jason.
not saying they don't have. I'm not saying they don't have souls. They do.
Too.
I had my cat as a ghost coming to me as a pet, so I believe that. You know I do. But there's a difference between the way a dog
But
looks
they do
at you.
stare through your soul.
and
They can stare through your
a cat looks at you as like, if I was big enough, I'd eat you.
Yeah.
I love you, but I'd
How
eat
did
you.
you like that?
I'm just saying. I've always felt that way, but my wife hates it when I say that. But I've always felt like when the cat looks at you, it's different than a dog. And I swear, if it was big enough, it's like, I might not eat you. I might throw you around and play with you a little bit. And you might die. I love you, but yeah, I might kill you.
The dogs, like, yeah, no, I agree. I've had dogs and cats, and yeah, there is a big difference with them. But I got really into this thing where I really wanted to dig into the science of this and do this.
Don't tell me you're like digging in the cat.
No, I
Literally.
do not like digging in that. I mean,
No,
you do
that
it.
was my
Everything
deal. My
else
wife
is-
wanted a cat for so long. I said, "You get a cat. I don't want a cat. I don't want a cat because I'm not changing kitty litter."
Yeah.
So she gets her cat. She does the kitty litter, and then she gets pregnant. I found out I got to change the damn
you
kitty
change the
litter.
There you go. But the more you do it, the more you like the cat.
It did change, you know.
Something to it.
Me and that cat got a little personal bond after that. I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, she dosed me.
Yeah.
That explains it. Because she peed on everything I loved in this house. Every chair I loved in this house, she ruined. And somehow I still love that cat. And I think it's because of those times, we did get a bond during the time my wife was pregnant. It was from me doing the damn kitty litter. I'm getting microdosed by my cat. That explains everything. Because now I'm a cat person again.
I do like my cats, and I do feel bad that I ate one in Sumatra. But you know.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time getting over eating cat or dog. I'd have a hard time getting over that because I love them so much. And
a lot of times
I know
you
it's
don't-
all psychological.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was eating most
But
of the
what's
time.
that
until
is fun.
afterward.
Well, my wife was telling me a story. She has coworkers of hers, and one of them is an older guy. He's really funny. But him and his buddy, he had like a pet squirrels he would feed, and the squirrels would come up and feed him and all that stuff. And then one day, no, squirrels ain't coming anymore. Why? Well, because one day him and his buddy decided to eat one. Literally, the squirrel stopped coming.
They knew.
I'm like, why do you eat a squirrel?
Yeah.
It's a southern thing. I'm like, whatever. I'm not eating a squirrel. I'm
I
not
like
eating a
Snow
squirrel.
White in the back with the blue jays and the squirrels.
No, I
Touch it.
I've tried stuff. I've tried alligator. I've tried some stuff. I've expounded. Frog legs, didn't know at the time.
Yeah.
Shark I'll never eat. It's
Yeah.
gross. They pee through their skin. Come on, people.
Yeah, but
It's gross.
It's pretty good. I won't eat shark fin, but that's more for the environmental reasons than.
Yeah, no kidding, because it's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah, they just kill them to take the damn fins and stuff like that. Humans, we suck.
Yeah.
We really do. We really do suck.
We
That's
find,
the thing.
We find new ways of doing it all the time too.
Daily.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. I almost want, my friends that are Bigfoot researchers to finally get that ultimate proof. But I feel like if the day they do, that's that is the nail in the coffin for Bigfoot.
I don't know, because I think that I have faith in being able to protect a species and being able to, like, once something is, especially like we call them the big sexy animals. If you have a big sexy animal that gets the whole public behind it, then people will rally behind protecting this, and you will.
You're
have,
right.
you
I
know,
mean, we have.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, if it was a butterfly or some kind of bug or something that was ugly or something, then
Yeah, bugs get it
you have a
bad.
harder time.
I mean, kill the mosquitoes. Like, we have no problem. We want to kill those mosquitoes. Kill them off. They can go. They can die and go to hell. The mosquitoes. You know what I'm
You
saying?
see how rare it would be to even come across a Bigfoot and say there's just a person out there. It's like, oh, I'm gonna shoot the Bigfoot to bring in as proof.
Once you do prove it, they don't need to do that anymore.
Yeah.
But my fear is, what humans will do. It's an intelligent creature, obviously, to stay hidden. Nothing could stay hidden that long without having some really good form of intelligence to adapt to its environment and to stay away. Smart enough to stay away from humans.
Well, you see how smart crows are. I mean, crows are so smart. It'll take them forever before they come down to pick up like some food or something. They are cautious as ever. So I can imagine Bigfoot being.
I don't like crows. I don't like birds.
Crows are pretty great. Crows and ravens are some of the smartest animals. I think it would be really fascinating to see if it was a hominid versus a great ape. Oh, I mean, humans are great apes, so I'll take that out. But
yeah,
I mean, if it's truly like a human species, if we find another species of humans, like what impact would that have on the laws? What impact would that have on conservation? Would they have human rights? Because there are some countries that are giving orangutans, chimps, and gorillas the same rights as humans.
Really?
Because they are of very similar. We have similar DNA. They are very intelligent. They are caring. They have societies.
I have proof that they can shoot an AK-47 when soldiers gave an AK-47 to them. That was really smart.
So, and chimps are the only animal besides humans that go to war, that actually have war. So there are other countries that are giving them human rights. If we found a species that was even more similar to humans, so if we truly found, let's say that there was a Neanderthal that was still, if we found a living Neanderthal, how would that impact our laws, and how would that impact the religions of the world? How would that impact, every society? I think that would be very
1980s movie, or was it 70s, 80s movies? Iceman.
No,
they find the guy in the ice, and then they build. You've never seen that?
No.
I'm surprised.
I'll
I'm
have to
shocked.
check
How
that
old
out.
are you?
Yeah. I'm 43. I'll be 43 in a little bit.
Oh, well, we're the same age. You gotta have seen this. You don't remember this movie? I think it was Iceman, wasn't it? Oh, I gotta look this up. Oh, I gotta go to commercial break here in a minute. I'm really surprised. Everything we've talked about tonight, you did not see this as a kid, because I would have thought this totally would inspire you.
It sounds like it would.
Iceman. So many different references to it. There was a movie. I don't remember who was in it, but they find, of course, that's 2012. That ain't it. God dang it! I wish I could find. I think that's what it was called, wasn't it? Iceman or something? Maybe it wasn't. But basically, they find this Neanderthal frozen in the ice. He thaws out and is alive, and they have to build like this whole environmental dome around him. No, this is not Encino Man. This was a serious movie. This was a serious movie, like a really good one. I thought when I was a kid, I was like it. I don't know. I just loved this movie when I was a kid, and they like build like this whole environmental like dome around him, make him think that he's still in his environment from his natural time, and are trying to like study him. And of course, things go wrong, and but it's a sad movie. Was it Iceman? I can't remember if that was it or. Dang it! I wish I would. But 1984 Iceman. Yes, that's it. It was Iceman.
Yeah, no, I'll definitely have to check that out. Because that would be really interesting to me. Like that's what's fascinating about Bigfoot. Like if they do find Bigfoot, and if Bigfoot is a hominid, then what impacts does that have? What kind of legal protections? What kind of legal rights?
There are some states have tried to pass laws on that. We got like a half hour left, less than. I got to go to the last commercial break. We'll be right back. And nobody want to call in on this? I know cryptids isn't like everybody's experience. Like I've never seen a cryptid, but I'm still fascinated by it. But I get it. It's getting late, but we'll keep the phone lines open after this commercial break, guys. If you still want to call in, we'll take your phone calls after this commercial break when we come back with our guest, Pat Spain, author of the On the Hunt book series, when we come back from the short commercial break.
Intercepted the transmission of unknown origin.
Transmission? Out here?
SOS.
Human.
Unknown.
Alien. Certificate X. Exclusive engagement at the Odeon Leicester Square. Now.
Any systematized transmission indicating a possible intelligent origin must be investigated. How will you hear all this?
In space, no one can hear you scream.
If you are interested in discovering the truth about the paranormal and want to hear from leading researchers in the field, join Justin Brown on his 3 weekly shows named My Paranormal Soapbox, Necromancer Live Show, and the Supernatural Symposium, live on Facebook, YouTube, and InterfaceDeath.net.
This is an APAC studio presentation.
Hi, I'm Barry, owner-operator of Barry's Barometer Barn. Lately, I bet you've been lying awake at night asking yourself, how many barometers do I really need? Well, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we think you need more than one. Otherwise, we're gonna go out of business. Remember, at Barry's Barometer Barn, we don't know the meaning of high-pressure sales. Come on, folks, buy another barometer. I'm trying to put my kids through college, I've got a family to support, and a secret mistress who isn't cheap.
Visit Barry's Barometer Barn, 000 Storm Drive. Come on, folks, buy a barometer. I'm Barry's older brother, Larry, and every time one of you people walk past the store without coming in, Barry beats me.
This has been a presentation from Tim Morgan's APAC Studio. For more almost professional amateur comic studio content, visit the APAC YouTube channel. Search APAC 2002. That's APAC 2002 on YouTube.
When Alex Gardner is asleep, he has an extraordinary gift. The government wants it, the scientists want it, but to keep it may cost him his life. It might be better if Alex didn't sleep at all, but he cannot resist entering the dreamscape. Can you? See Dreamscape in the West End and all over London now. Certificate 15. It takes an extraordinary adventurer to enter the dreamscape.
Are you intrigued by Paranormal Talk Radio? You'll love the new Paranormal Radio app from Talkstream Live. You'll find a great selection of talk shows covering UFOs, ghosts, strange phenomena, and much more. Download the Paranormal Radio app now and start listening to the very best in paranormal talk entertainment, including the network you're listening to right now, the Paranormal Radio app, free in Google Play and the iOS App Store.
Join us every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time for Weird Wednesday, the live stream, with your hosts Jamie, the Living Dead Girl, and Rob, the Phantom, where we'll talk about all things paranormal, including zodiac, astrology, tarot card and oracle card readings, live ghost boxing and spirit communication, where we'll do voices from beyond the cold case files. So we hope you join us live on Facebook and YouTube every Wednesday night at midnight Eastern Standard Time. We hope to see you there. Bye-bye.
Since 1948, Fate magazine has brought you reports of the strange and unknown, all of them true. Fate Radio is carrying on that tradition, bringing you the unusual, macabre, strange, and bizarre. Join host Kat Hobson Sunday nights from 8 to 10 p.m. Eastern on WBHM Digital Broadcasting.
Heat 'em up.
Do, re,
Egon.
You're listening to Paranormal Soup, bringing you the weird every Sunday night. Call into the show and join the discussion. The call-in lines are 219-230-4444 or 260-225-9419. Or by Skype caller ID 00JBland00 or JBland Paranormal Soup. And now to your host, Jason Bland.
Tonight's guest has been Pat Spain. He's the author of On the Hunt book series. We've been talking about A Little Bigfoot, On the Hunt in Sumatra, or how I learned there are some things that really do not taste like chicken, like cat. So, if you're ever eating something, they tell you it's chicken, it don't taste like chicken. I don't know. Or like tacos down in Mexico Jamie was eating. Beware. It doesn't taste like chicken. It might not be chicken. I don't know. But our guest tonight, phone lines are open. Call in if you want to join the conversation. We're talking about a lot of different cryptid themes here with Pat Spain, who's been around the world, seen many of these places, traveled, got to actually be on the hunt, physically endanger himself, in my opinion, to look for these strange, unusual creatures. And we will continue this conversation for the last half hour of the show. Call in if you want to join that conversation. But let's go ahead and get back to our guests. All right. Now, one of the things we're talking about with the, is Bigfoot, a part of the human, genetic line, like an offshoot. One of the things is I've had Bigfoot researchers say, and I've seen some evidence of this too, because like there was a case with the FBI actually studied a Bigfoot case and had hair specimens studied. And it comes back inconclusive. Mm-hmm. Like it's humanish. They've gotten those results, and that might be the reason why, because it is an ancestor of ours.
Yeah, so I've heard that I've seen a couple of those as well, and I think that what I've seen is that there was either kind of damaged samples where they couldn't get the full, but it was kind of leaning towards human, I guess, or it was just kind of a mess up in the technology or the sample that they got. So yeah, I mean the inconclusive samples are always one of those that keep us going and keep us looking for more.
Yeah.
Want
I mean, like, do you know what a Bigfoot DNA is going to look like when you see it, or a Bigfoot hair? Are you actually going to know it? Because we don't.
Because you don't have anything to compare it to, right?
Right, it's going to be inconclusive.
Positive, yeah.
I definitely get their point on that. I can see why those hair samples don't come back saying, "Oh, it's Bigfoot."
Because we can't, because we don't have that. And that's one of the things that I mention in all the books is that I love cryptozoology, obviously. I look at it as it is biology with a lot of kind of cultural anthropology thrown in. And that was my minor in school, was cultural anthropology and philosophy. And I'm fascinated by that. But at its base, cryptozoology is biology. And one of the things that's kind of disappointing to me in cryptozoology is that when a new animal is discovered, I get really excited, but most people don't. And if we found... Yeah,
if it's small or little, nobody cares.
Yeah, or even if it's large. Like there was a new species of whale found not that long ago, but it just looked like other whales. So people are just like, it's just a whale. And you're like, no, that's really exciting that we just found a new, there's been new
just proves that there's
species.
So much more.
Yeah. So if we found a new species of squid, for instance, and it was, it fed It came up to the surface. It was eating birds or something like that. Like, I would be fascinated and I would love this, but and it might account for a lot of the sightings that we have of sea serpents. But most people are going to go, yeah, but it's not a sea serpent. But what if it is?
Right. That's what people just thought. I'd rather it be the squid because I definitely don't want a sea serpent.
Right. But most people in the public do. Like, they want
My
want
kids,
it to be exactly
they'd be like,
what
no,
the
sea
myth
serpent.
says that it is. Yeah, and that's the tough thing about cryptozoology is that if whatever you find isn't exactly what the myth and legend says that it needs to be, then most of the public won't recognize it as that.
Yeah.
And
Well, it's like Jaws was a great book, and then the author made a second one. It was The Beast, and it was about a giant squid, and it sucked. I'm just saying,
okay.
squids are just not as cool. Not as cool.
I love squid. Squid are the
Yeah.
reason I went into marine biology.
I had
Really?
cuttlefish. They are so smart. They are so fun to watch.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. So you keep them?
I used to, yeah. I used to have different tanks and things, and I had octopus and.
That's awesome. Yeah,
I suck at marine life. I suck at marine life. We went through so many fish with my son. No more. He wants to go around again. They're so hard to keep alive.
They are.
I wanted to do marine biology, but so much. I'm horrible with math, and there was just entirely too much math.
There is. I did it, and I agree. There's too much math. It's not needed for what. Well, either way, that's a whole nother topic.
Yeah.
But so they can charge you more for that degree.
But I always wanted to keep a cephalopod tank, and I've never. I know
For my
that
wife, it's octopus. She's fascinated by octopus. That's
They
like
really
her.
are. Yeah.
And I get it, yeah, because they're so like alien compared to everything else on this planet, and they creep me out a little.
They're
You
very,
could
very
open jar lids. It was awesome.
She loved it in the there's a show. Oh God, what is it? Resident Alien.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And that you find out the aliens, their cousins are the octopus on this planet, and they can telepathically talk to each other. It's hilarious. And my wife loved it.
The new Twilight Zone. So the whole new the reboot of Twilight Zone.
Oh, is that one by Jordan Peele?
Yeah.
Yeah, I always like to talk about Nope. I want to see that too because I like his stuff.
So they have an episode that Tim Armstrong from Rancid is in, which is awesome. I'm also a big punk rock guy.
Oh yeah.
So he's in this, and it's all about a new species of octopus that can telepathically communicate. So it's like Tim Armstrong and marine biology and the paranormal.
I gotta see this.
Episode just for me. That's perfect.
Yeah, right.
Love Rancid too.
Punk rock and octopus.
For sure. Yeah.
But that's the thing. I mean, the ocean. There's still so much we could discover there. But it's the same with our forest and the rainforest. There's so much places we have not been as humans. And I mean, one of my favorite. I mean, another movie I loved as a kid was Medicine Man with Sean Connery.
Yes.
In the rainforest, cures for cancer.
Yeah.
You've lived through this. You survived cancer. We have a friend right now who just had breast cancer surgery and is recovering. Cancer sucks.
Oh yeah.
And all those cures could be right down there in that rainforest.
Yeah. So I loved Medicine Man when I watched it the first time.
I saw it in the theater. Yeah.
It's amazing. I never smoked weed until I had cancer, and then I did. And I watched Medicine Man and it made it better. It was like, oh, this is great. I remember this movie being good.
Done that.
I also watched the entire series of Lost in 2 days.
Oh my God.
Days. Start to finish, Lost in 4 days.
No, I was telling people, this is what I did. So I have really bad back. Last week we only did a 2-hour show. And one of my listeners said, you should try out those Delta 8 or Delta 9. He was telling me Delta 9. I'm like, well, Delta 8's legal in Indiana. And I was like, they tell me take 1/4 of it. The woman at the store told me that. And I'm like, yeah, I get home, I take the whole thing, and I read the back of the thing. It says, only take 1/4 daily. I'm like, oh.
It's going to be an interesting night.
Dude, all I did was watch Star Wars, Clone Wars cartoons and Rebels to take my mind off. I was so deeply engaged with it, just to take my mind off all the anxiety.
Oh yeah, my wife started watching Lost with me, and we watched 3 or 4 episodes, and then she went to sleep. And then the next day she went to work, and she came home from work, and she goes, "What did I miss?" And I was like, "Season 2." I'm not going to be able to catch you up. I'm sorry.
Yeah, drugs can make you binge watch something. That was for me. I had half my thyroid taken out, and I was like 4 a.m. in the hospital. The nurse comes in and she goes, "What are you doing up?" And I had an iPhone 4 with Netflix on it, which I thought was cool. It was like my first smartphone.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Battlestar Galactica. I've never seen something remade better than the original. She's like, "You go to bed." I got sucked into Battlestar Galactica like I'm crying, like I'm so on morphine.
I was in the hospital for a couple months after my surgery, and I had all these complications and ended up having to be put into an induced coma. And
oh my god,
it was wild. It was this whole, but then when I started kind of coming out of it in the hospital, I just watched Pawn Stars.
Oh, you dear God!
And I was like,
welcome to TV hell.
A lot of morphine, and I just started. Anyone who I would talk to, that's what I wanted to talk about.
Did you see that Pawn Star, man, when he tried to sell that Ty Cobb baseball card? And it was fake. It was fake.
And I can remember my father, he was like, "What are you talking about?" They're like talking to the doctors, like, maybe we want to reduce some of this.
But, I think that's the reason why we have a billion kids on TikTok watching people pet furry cats, because they're all on drugs too, like Adderall and stuff. That's why, like, I have to fight to get like 100 views on here, while they get like 1 million views for just like petting a cat.
It's very relaxing.
Idiocracy. Out My Balls will be the top rated show. We actually have a show where people slap each other. We're just like one step away from Out My Balls.
Which he is slapping.
Yeah.
I've heard of that. Yeah, I am very out of the loop on what is
You're out there having adventures.
Yeah.
So you survived cancer and decided to go jump in a pit of 200,000 snakes or more.
I did, yeah. That was my way to kind of come back. So when I...
what the hell is wrong with you?
Yeah, it was something I've always wanted to do. So
what is wrong with you?
What kind of snakes were they? They're red-sided garter snakes.
Oh, okay.
It doesn't matter to me.
The largest concentration of snakes on Earth. Yeah,
where was this at?
Manitoba, Canada. It's the largest concentration of snakes on Earth. It's
never going there.
That in May, right around now, in May, the snakes will start emerging, and there's just the 200,000 number is very finger in the air. I've read anywhere from 40,000 to 400,000. So I just picked a number in the middle. I mean,
give me 100 and I'm out.
You could reach in up to your arm, which I did, and just lift them up, and there's just snakes pouring down your arm. I laid down. I had just a sea of snakes covering me. I mean, they're falling from the trees. They're rolling down hills. It was
they're having sex.
Yeah. It's a huge, just like that. That's all.
It's a snake orgy. You're just literally dumping yourself inside of a snake orgy.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Yeah, just putting yourself right in there, and it was. I mean, the smell was like otherworldly. The smell was like nothing you can explain. It was Lovecraftian. In both sound and smell.
A little musky.
Oh, it was I had to sell my car. So after doing this, after filming this, so I convinced my friends. I had finished chemo, and I still felt like crap, and I was still trying to film some stuff, but it was not going well. And I was like, I got to do something. I've got to do something to just show that I can still do this. That I can.
200,000 snakes. Let's do it.
So I called my buddy, who is our camera guy and one of my best friends, and I said, hey, I'm thinking about going up to Manitoba. And he goes, are we going to film the snake dens? I was like, yeah, we are.
He knew right away where you're going for it. Oh, God.
So I got permission from the Canadian government. I went up there. I lucked out on the time that, we hit it exactly right. I drove 34 hours straight from Boston to Manitoba, spent just about a day there, laid down in the pit of snakes, got covered by them, and then got back in the car and drove back and sold my car 2 days later because that smell was never going to go away.
Oh, my God. I wonder who bought this car. That's not a new car smell.
So I bring it to the dealer, and everything looks okay from the outside, and the dealer gets in, he goes, interesting smell. I go, I don't know what you mean.
Interesting, yes.
And he was like,
yes.
Okay, all right, that's interesting.
You're buying a new car, right?
Yeah.
A brand new car, right?
But I just totally played dumb. I'm not sure what you mean.
What smell?
It was
what kind of hookers do you have in the backseat of this car? This guy's wondering.
My wife would come on a lot of shoots with us and go to a lot of places. And when I asked her if she wanted to do the Manitoba thing, she was like, absolutely not. She was like, nothing about that sounds good.
No. No, I survived cancer. I'm gonna go jump in 200,000 snakes. You know, people are like, I'm gonna go to Disney World. I'm gonna go to 200,000 snakes. Yee.
Yeah.
No.
Lay down in the pit of snakes.
They don't bite you?
So
No,
was it
no, they're
heavy or
so
was it?
cold. Oh yeah,
Too cold.
It's wild how many of them there are. It became like surreal. Like I looked over and I went with two friends who were both camera guys, and one of them was just like staring into this space, just lifting up snakes and just letting them fall through his fingers because it's just so surreal. Like you just can't really comprehend seeing that many.
Were they all tied, like winded?
Aren't you worried about like stepping on them and pissing them off?
Yeah, we were. I mean, we tried our best not to, but I'm sure that there were a few underfoot. It was just like,
and they don't like go fuck. You know,
yeah,
I'm gonna be cold, but I'm still gonna bite your.
So, like my kids and I caught a big huge snake outside today, and like I had no problem even letting my 4-year-old hold it because I know it's
what's
not gonna
wrong with
this. Like on a day like this, it's not like there's no chance of it. So.
Oh my god!
But up there, yeah, I mean, they're just like they're only focused on mating, and that's it. And like they mostly want to wrap around you to get warm. So like once they find out that you're warm, it's like, oh, I'm going to climb up your sleeve. I'm going to go in your pants. I'm going to go down your shirt.
No. See, that's where my fear came from. I was a kid, and I grew up in this trailer park, and it was like two parts of the trailer park divided by this big swampy grassy area. There's a lot of swamp there.
So you definitely got snakes there.
And I didn't have a fear. I didn't really have a fear of snakes. I think I was 8 or 9 until this point. Like I remember us going through that field and getting gardener snakes with a rake and raking them up and not freaking out. But I was on my bike and I'm going through and I see this white thing slithering. I'd never seen a white snake before, and it was a blue racer.
Oh,
you know, it was white. You know.
Yeah.
And I stop. I'm like, what is that? And then I see it come slithering out. And for some reason, I just froze. Like, I am deadly afraid as this thing just is right in the middle of the trail, coming up to me. And then it goes up to my pant leg. Starts to slither up my pant leg. And I just kicked and biked the heck out of there. And I had nightmares for weeks. And ever since then, I can't even look at a snake. Like, even in a movie. Like, it just tormented me. It brought maybe a past life experience. I don't know. But whatever it did, it unlocked something of a total fear of snakes at that moment. It ever since has persisted.
Yeah, they are. I mean, I get the fear. I get the creep factor. I never had it, but I do understand it.
Obviously. Well, you know, like my wife's afraid of bugs. My wife doesn't like bugs. She doesn't do spiders. And one time her friend and our friend, mutual friend, was going into the Marines, and he's like, "Can you take care of my scorpions?" I'm like, talk to her about that. She's more your friend, you know. I'm like, I'm good. They don't freak me out. And so he talked my wife into it. We get these scorpions. I've never had a scorpion before. I had like alligators, and I had maybe my roommate he had alligators, but I took care of it more than he did. And we had pet turtles, so I had different little animals I'd like to have. And it's like, I can do scorpions. That doesn't freak me out. And feeding them crickets was fun.
Yeah.
Then one morning I woke up and I'm like, where's the scorpions?
Ooh.
I don't see the scorpions. My wife, who sleeps like the dead and is the hardest person to get out of bed in the world, like her alarm goes off 8, 10, 15 times. You know, found a way to get her up quick. Go to the bedroom. I go, honey?
Where are the scorpions?
I go, the scorpions aren't in their tank. Bed. We find out they're in the tank. They didn't know they actually buried themselves under the sand, you know, really efficiently, and you can't see them. Yeah, but boy, it worked well to get her out of bed.
So I had read about scorpions, and I'd worked with captive scorpions, you know, that usually the emperor scorpion and stuff like that, like the big ones that are very easy. They're super docile. So I went out to Arizona to film, and I was like, oh, we're going to be able to find scorpions. This is great. And I found a bark scorpion, which is actually kind of dangerous, like not super, super dangerous, but you don't want to get stung by.
You might have a bad time.
And everything that I'd read was like, oh yeah, you just grab them by the tail. But what I had forgotten is that bark scorpions can turn their stingers around to the side. So I'm talking to the camera and I was like, oh yeah. And right when I went
to
grab
it by the tail,
and I felt the stinger brush against my thumb, and I was like, oh, all right, I'm going to pick this one up on a stick. Let's focus on this.
Like you should have done with the poisonous snake you were holding, you know?
Yeah.
Like I was just saying, don't. But bugs don't bother me. I don't know, maybe because I know I can crush them or whatever. I don't know. Bugs don't get to me like it does my wife, but I don't know. One of the things I've always, like, it was a horrible movie, The Anaconda.
Oh, yeah.
horrible, but it's so horrible it's good. You know, it's cheesy
Yeah,
classic.
yeah.
John Voight. I mean, come on, Jennifer Lopez.
They're great. Yeah.
But do you think there could be a big snake like that? I mean, I've seen stuff. I've seen some stuff, evidence of pretty huge anacondas. Do you think there's anything that big out there?
So like Cobra Grande is the kind of classic story of the giant anaconda. I think that there are possibly larger snakes. Like there's that challenge to find a snake that's actually 30 feet.
Yeah.
Like if you can really find a 30-foot snake, then there was some award for it for a very, very long time. But then there's these reports of 60, 70, 80 foot
Yeah.
snakes. I think what it tends to be is more of somebody seeing a mating ball. So like anacondas form mating balls the same way that garter snakes do.
Right.
Where there'll be one female with a whole bunch of males wrapped around them, and they see the head at one end and they see a tail at another end and think that it's all one snake, but it's actually a mating ball of these. And they can look super thick too, and they can even leave the same kind of marks in the mud to make you think that this was a much larger snake, but really it was a mating ball of them. So I don't think that we would be able to, I don't think that that their physiology would even be able to support a snake of those proportions. Like a 60-foot snake.
That's what I wondered.
It would probably have to live in the water. Oh,
Right.
Titanoboa was the largest that ever lived. And that was an absolutely enormous.
And it was in the water, they believe? It lived in the water only?
Probably spent a lot more time in the water, or was exclusively in the water.
You would think so, too, because you get that more of a massive weight, you know, gravity and everything, the water would help you.
Yeah, and the digestion and everything, I think it would be really, really tough to have a snake that big. I think there probably are reticulated pythons that are over 30 feet. It would be pretty amazing to find one that big. I've worked with really, really big retics, over 20 feet, but seeing one that's 30 feet would be pretty impressive.
You hear the horror stories, like I was saying earlier. There's people who have been snake lovers. They have all these snakes. I mean, Rob, we have on the show, is a big snake lover. Couldn't make it tonight. He would have loved talking to you, but about snakes, Rob. But there's people that have a lot of these snakes, and then they know what they're doing and everything, but they still screw up. They get a python that just locks around them.
Yeah. The pythons, you're less likely to have some kind of real true like fatal error with a python than you are with a venomous snake, because the venomous snake, it just takes that one bite.
One bite and you're done.
Yeah, like
there's the ones that get the pythons. They've had to call animal control, or people come over, and like I remember one with a mother and the son, and the son had it. We played it on the show. Had the python like stuck on him, and she's trying to like get. Oh, it was awful.
Yeah,
that kid obviously was not an expert.
Right.
My pythons were always pretty nice.
The what?
My pythons were always pretty nice. They
all
weren't
the
very
ones that
aggressive or.
No, all the ones that I've worked with have been. I've been bitten by them, of course, but it's been the stuff that things that I've messed up on. Like, you have one that has a feeding response. That's almost every time that someone gets bitten, it's from a feeding response. So the best thing is to feed them in a separate area than what they live in. So when they're wherever they live, they don't associate that with food. They associate, like, when you take them out and put them into their feeding container, then that's when they're going to eat. And you don't make sure that your hands don't smell like rats. that's another thing. And I've made all of those mistakes before. So
I was holding a chicken nugget.
Yeah.
I remember my biology teacher had this snake called Esmeralda.
Nice.
Esmeralda is a BITCH name, right? Well, that's why she was named Esmeralda. I fell asleep in the class and actually had a nightmare of the snake getting out and getting me in class. Okay, like that's how I hated that. I loved the teacher to death. He was like one of my favorite teachers. Got me into biology. Like he was such a good guy, such a good teacher. But he had to have the damn pet snake in the class, and it would get out. And and this thing was like, he'd go to feed him. I'm like, oh my God, he would have to. I'm like, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see any of this. I had it seems all my like good guy friends, like Rob, even though he lives in Florida, I consider one of my good guy friends. He's got pet snakes, and my only really close friend in town where I live, I don't think he does anymore, but he used to always have pet snakes. Yeah. And I would always I'm not staying the night at your place, dude. Not happening.
Yeah, we keep them. So my daughter and I'll catch them and just keep them for a couple days, but we've never had one like long term. Just too much responsibility and too many other things in the house.
Too many chances of it getting out.
Yeah.
Especially the kids involved. I'm glad my kids are not into snakes. They like don't let them get into snakes. I am not doing that. You're a good dad.
It's a lot of fun. I mean, it was fun today. Today, I was really surprised that we caught one today. But yeah, we're out there all the time looking for everything we can get our hands on. We were actually looking for frog eggs at the time that we found it.
So you're great. You're getting your kids outdoors. My kids are geeks. Video game central. I need to get them outdoors. We live in a city. It's like I need to get them outdoors and go camping like me, my wife used to do before I saw a rattler snake.
Right.
I'm just not. I got to get my dad's got to get himself ready to go back out in the wild and do that. I don't know. Back then, I didn't care until that moment I saw one.
Yeah.
Just like when I was a kid and I saw
it.
one.
Yeah.
Like out of sight, out of mind. You know.
Yeah.
But I don't know. At the same time, they saw the Bigfoot movie. And they're like, I never want to go camping again. So the Bigfoot horror movie. I don't want to ever go camping. We're not going to go camping.
I saw Blair Witch in the theater.
Oh God,
the
me
day
too.
Before I was going on like a week-long camping.
Oh, nice. Oh, you know, I got you. I got you
great
top.
idea.
You know what I made my friends watch before we went down to Kentucky? I had these two guys. I'd already been to this place in Red River Gorge, okay, camping a few times. And I had these two guys that had never gone camping before. And I'm like, we're going to go on a camping trip. And they got to bring a pound of weed with them, enough to make them paranoid. So I said, this is what we're going to do. We're like 20, you know. And I'm like, okay, before we go, I got a movie we got to watch. Like, what is it? I was like, have you ever seen the movie Deliverance? No. I'm like, oh, I got a movie for you.
And this is where
Feel
we're
like
going.
a pig. And yep. So
Oh,
we watched Deliverance.
That's right.
And then I took them down there. Oh, it was great in the middle of the night. Freaking out.
It's a nice canoe trip, right?
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I had a bunch of marijuana on top of it, and they're really freaking out. And we ran into these Navy SEALs that are holding guns and stuff while we're out there. Like, what are you boys doing out here? They're like, you know, those guys aren't locals, right? I'm like, no, they're Navy SEAls. They told you. You know,
Yeah.
don't worry about them. Like, but then they walked into local shops, and some of those people were very deliverance-y. And I started freaking out about that. It was great. It was a lot of fun. I'd already been there. I wasn't scared of nothing. Or the people. I liked the locals. But they were like all freaking out city boys in Kentucky. But these are also the idiots that would like smoke too much, go out on a cliff. It was these beautiful cliffs out there and are literally cooking bacon and eggs.
Yeah, not the best move.
When I'm like, I wake up and I told them not to do this. I told them not to do it. I wake and I smell it. I'm like, oh no. I'm like, okay, I wasn't scared of mountain lions, but now I am.
Yeah.
Thank you guys. Put this
Mountain
all
lions
away.
They're pretty intense. I did a show called How Not to Die.
How not to die.
And-
Don't cook bacon and eggs on a
The one episode that we filmed was about mountain lions, and I was tracking mountain lions outside of Palm Springs. And the whole show was to show people how not to die when you encounter a mountain lion. And
Yeah.
it worked. I'm still here.
Yeah. And
What
now,
are
you
some
know,
mountain lion tips? We got a lot of mountain lions around here.
Lots. If you see one, maintain eye contact. Lots of yelling, lots of screaming. Big,
get your
huge
hands out.
movements. Throw stuff at them. Be super, super aggressive, yelling. If they do attack, then you fight back with everything that you got. Just absolutely keep on going and fighting, and try not to take your eyes off them.
that's what that person did in the video we had in our news segment. We had a video where somebody encountered a mountain lion on the trail, and they just took their bike and they never left it. They had the camera on them too.
Yeah.
But you can tell they never took their eyes off that damn thing as they backed up. But like I wouldn't either.
They
I
might
need to
follow
make
you
the
for
noise
miles.
and be big,
Yeah.
but I never knew about the eye contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man, there's so much.
Keep on tons of noise, yelling, screaming, maintain eye contact. You know, when you do get away, just try to keep them in sight as much as you can. And if they're not, just assume that they're there, that they're watching you.
Well, that's the end of the show. There's so much more I wanted to talk to you about too. Like I wanted to talk to you about like your ideas on Thunderbirds too. If you ever looked into that, or
Yeah, I do. I think that goes more into the spirit world. I think that's
yeah,
more into
there's
the
a lot of
spirit
spirit
realm.
mythology with that, but it still makes you wonder. There's all that stuff I would have loved to get into, but we're at the end of our show, Pat. I am so glad we were able to reschedule and get you back on the show.
Me
Thank you
too.
so much for being
Thank
understanding
you.
and coming back on the show.
No, this was great. Thank you so much. I had a really good time.
Any last information you want to get out to the audience before we go?
Just patspain.com, and you can find the books on Amazon or any of your local bookstores.
Awesome. I highly recommend it. I read the one so far. I definitely want to read the others. Check out Pat Spain on the Hunt book series. Definitely have to get you back on again sometime, Pat. Like I said,
Thank you
we
so
had
much.
a
That
lot
sounds
more I
great.
wanted to talk about. But that's it for the show, guys. We will be back next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel, with Eli Colbury, if I'm getting that right, author of War in the Hearts of Men. We'll get into all that next Sunday, same bad time, same bad channel, 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. Central, 11 p.m. to 2 a.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. 11 p.m. Pacific time. Check us out on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Don't forget to subscribe on Patreon. $2 a month does help pay the bills. You can also do Super Chat, and I guess we have Facebook stars. Facebook gave me this thing, said they can do a star thing on donation. I don't know about that yet. We'll figure it out. But anyway, you want to try to help out the show, it does help sharing out the show. Tell your friends about Paranormal Soup every Sunday night where the weird happens live. Thank you to everybody who does share out the show. Just spread the word. That's the biggest way you can help this show. All right, guys. Have a great night. See you next Sunday.
Thank you so much.